Hi, everyone, and welcome to another of our Plus One Shoot the Shits. This is our talk show that we do on Plus One Shot, where we talk about all the different topics that we want to, relating to tabletop, what we ate today, the state of the weather and the world, but actually just mostly tabletop games. So this is a show that we enjoy doing here, and I say that because, of course, I have my two very willing co-hosts. That is Charles
and not prisoners.
No, not prisoners. Never prisoners. Why would you think that you guys are here against your will? That would be crazy.
Right. Completely of my own volition. Totally. Yep.
Stop blinking, Charles. I noticed a pattern last.
If we had the ability to learn Morse code.
So today we are going to talk about a few things. Is there anything news related to tabletop RPGs besides what we're going to be talking about? Daggerheart's Open Beta drop, and it's a pretty big deal. And it's going to probably continue to be from the looks of it.
I don't think the news in the general industry is any good. So let's just talk about. Let's just talk about Daggerheart.
Yeah, let's just talk about fun things.
Yeah,
because
I think that's good.
Another set of
AI stuff.
Things, more AI stuff. And yeah, we're not a news channel. We're gonna talk about the things we like channel. So
yes,
Daggerheart's open beta just dropped, and boy, is it a hefty child. The core manual itself is 377 pages, and none of it is really fluff.
No pictures,
all words, important words.
Yeah,
a fair amount of like stat blocks and things, examples, but even still, like, that is so much, and you would wonder exactly how that is, and the answer is, as far as I can tell, is because they took the best parts of every single indie and or big tabletop RPG that I've seen in a long time, and they merged them all into a thing. Not sure how good it's going to be.
I think their dice is a new thing, right? I have not heard of that before.
So it is new, but it is. Well, we'll get into it. It invokes a certain vibe from Modifius style game.
Yeah, I'm wearing the shirt, and I have the folder right here. Two different games, two different approaches to playtests. But yeah, I was like, how big is this Daggerheart one? Oh, it's like 300 megs. How big was the MCDM one? 82? Yeah, but they don't have anywhere near as much as in this book. Like, this book is insane. Like, this is basically, it almost looks like it's fully ready to come out.
Sometimes playtests will start with, well, here's characters, or here's a little scenario with some pre-gens, or here's the entire book as it's going to sit except for the last chapter, and here's a bunch of the references, and we put all the people's names on it, and we've completely marked out the bookmarks and hyperlinked inside of it. And did we mention we're a professional production company? Because we are. And there's no better proof. Once again, Wizards, step it up. Love you, Wizards. Please don't get mad at me. This game,
they'll cast testicular torsion. You better be careful.
I don't need to hear about that book ever again. Stop it. This game is a completely original game from Darrington Press, which is the publishing wing that does board games, TTRPGs, and other things for Critical Role. They previously published Candela Obscura, which has gotten a pretty strong movement behind it. A bunch of people really enjoying themselves. But even more than that, this was their big one. Candela was kind of a more lighter system, as far as I understand, and Daggerheart was the one where they were like, this is going to be a lot more. This is going to be work and a lot more system. And I think it's safe to say with 300 something pages, they achieved that.
They did, yes.
Speaking of Critical Role, I know I'm kind of a critter for a long time, but how... Charles, I feel like you barely touch Critical Role content, and you've said that multiple times on this show before.
Yeah, I don't watch any of them. It doesn't really, there's not the vendetta against one, but I don't watch any. I didn't watch any MCDM ones. I have not watched Dimension 20 or anything. Just it's hard for me to watch people play tabletop because I just want to do it. So yeah, I haven't watched. Also, I wear my allegiance on my chest. I like Evil Matt.
It's true.
And I'm sort of in the same boat. I've seen maybe 2 or 3 full episodes of Critical Role. Same with the MCDM Chains of Acheron. I saw the first one. Right. Watched a couple of the Adventure Zone. I think I listened to 2 of theirs, and I've tried. I really have. I have a hard time like following it, because I'm sitting at the computer and I'll like slowly drift off to some other web page and then realize I haven't been paying attention for 30 minutes.
It is the way that I can describe it is I don't know exactly how many episodes there are currently of Critical Role, but I believe of just the main campaigns that they've done, probably close to 200 episodes at this point. Maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. I know they're over 100.
Wow.
If you consider that each of those episodes is roughly 4.5 hours, that's 9 episodes of One Piece. So 9 episodes of One Piece times over 100 is nearly as many episodes you would have to watch of One Piece in order to actually catch up with that. So watching all of Critical Role is nearly the same Herculean task that going from 0 to finished of the One Piece anime.
We should, I mean, it's very easy because it's a bit over 1,000, but we should make a unit or something, a fraction of One Pieces.
Yeah.
We call them half pieces. I don't know.
Pieces, quarter
you
pieces.
guys are better at it than I am. You've actually seen it, yeah. But we should do that.
Nice.
We're just we're going to call it the unit is going to be an Oda, and it is a measure of time that is exactly one episode of One Piece if you fast forward through the filler at the front.
Yes. I think if I had a way to listen to it, like if I use public transportation, I think, and had a way to sit there and sort of be stuck somewhere for a couple, an hour or something, and could really listen to it and not just be sitting at my computer.
Right.
But I mean, having seen like clips, people will clip it, they'll clip it themselves. There's some really good stuff. Like they're funny. They have great character development. They know their characters. They know their world. They know what they're doing. It's Critical Role I'm speaking specifically of. Yeah. And if they're willing to put that much work from just their own characters into this game and the lore behind it, I can't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah.
So in case you've lived under a rock and don't even know what Critical Role is, Critical Role is a bunch of nerdy-ass voice actors playing Dungeons and Dragons. That's their tagline. It came up originally, I think they're on they say their 8-year anniversary or their 9-year anniversary, I want to say.
Yeah, sounds about right.
The 12th was their 9-year anniversary.
Yeah. They actually talked about it. I think it was during the playtest stuff that they were doing. They started up as a Geek and Sundry variety show of showing live play Dungeons and Dragons. And that evolved into a multi-million-dollar corporation that now has its own charity foundation and a subwing of Critical Role. Is the name of their company just... I don't know off the top of my head, but the subwing of Critical Role, Darrington Press, which is the publishing wing. They have now come out with a few tabletop games, board games, one tabletop game, Candela Obscura, and now they've come out with this playtest for Daggerheart. Again, everything we're talking about today, and they have been very, very good at mentioning this in every single piece of the documentation that they have. Everything is beta, everything is playtest. All of this is subject to change. Please do not pick a baby and hope that it stays. There are a few things that I see just myself that I'm like, there's no way that makes it to the final version. And it's a shame, but I have to distance myself from those characters that I know are going to get killed off. I just finished season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm not salty at all. The setup for this is that this is going to be their fantasy game. And it is designed, the lead designer is Spencer Stark. as I looked him up, some of his notable games one of them that won an Emmy was Alice is Missing, which is a tabletop game played entirely around text, trying to find a missing family member / friend named Alice. And then also he designed Icarus and another one that I know about, Kids on Brooms, which is the magical youth version of Kids on Bikes.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
So
yeah, I didn't know about that one.
Yeah. I believe you were following Kids on Bikes for a while, yeah?
Yeah, for a little while before it came out. And I have it, but that was at a period of time that we hadn't even started doing this.
We sure do have a lot of books
like,
we haven't actually cracked for functional use yet. I just finished reading the bulk of Girl by Moonlight on my plane ride out and back from California, so I got that in me. But either way, let's get into this because we got a lot of stuff to do. The designers of this game, from everything I can see, have been around. They noted some inspirations that they're pulling from for this game, and they are... Search it.
Mm.
Oh, no, I'm never going to search that. Forget I said
What are you looking for?
The inspiration list. I have the list here, but I wanted to show it on screen.
I was just looking at it. So
I'll start reading off the list though.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Unless somebody has it.
8.
It's on page 8.
13th Age, Apocalypse Keys, Apocalypse World, Blades in the Dark, City of Mist, Context Prime, Cipher System, Dishonored, D&D, Flea Mortals, For the Queen, Genesis, Lady Blackbird, Masks, A New Generation, Pathfinder, Shadowrun, The Quiet Years, Wild Sea, and Slug Blaster.
I've heard of all of those except for Slug Blaster. I feel like they threw that one in just to be like, bet you don't know this one. But maybe it also
most likely.
They also cite some books, some movies, and some video games, which I always love to see because it lets you, if you are a fan of certain mediums, be able to pick out and be like, oh, okay, I understand. They cited in movies and television that one of their inspirations is The Legend of Vox Machina. That's eating at your own table.
Yeah.
Some special appreciation stuff that they throw out just for specific systems. They go into this more, but I don't think we really have to. There's a lot of these games in this system. Genesis, Powered by the Apocalypse, and Fortune in the Dark specifically leap out at me. Obviously Dungeons, but we'll get
couldn't be
a little bit. So as always, I've pulled out the thing into a few different parts, and as I like to do, I started with the engine. The screen is going to be not exactly one for one right now. Just how I've had this stuff set up. But the engine, the dice are duality dice. This is the core engine of the entire game. It is 2d12, which that's fun. We never get to have d12s be useful for anything, and in this game, you're gonna have 2 of them be your core dice.
Yeah, I mean, only great swords, if that. You know, like
great
axes,
swords 2d6, which would be closer to Powered by the Apocalypse.
Yeah, great axe. Yeah, 2d12 is interesting. 2 to 24.
I think
slightly bigger range, but not too much.
The interesting part about it, I think, is to also note the GM. GM does not roll 2d12 for any checks that they roll. They roll a d20.
So the players have an advantage by default.
The players have a better bell curve.
Yes.
But the GM has better swing. Or would if it was like 2d10 versus a d20, which is why I think they went with 2d12, just to give that little oomph. Is my guess.
Players want to be powerful, right? That's the fun of it. You want to win.
Something that doesn't usually get on the surface much that really should be is that games are designed to skew in favor of the players. I've been playing in a Beacon campaign, and I have run a Lancer campaign, and it is damn frustrating downright at times exactly how painful it can be to be the person trying to run the game and challenge the players in that, because that system is so heavily skewed towards the players that you literally have to cheat to win.
Wow.
As the person running it. It is nutty how strong players get in Lancer system, but it's fun. That's the point.
Right.
Let's see. The rules that they say is they start out with some player principles, and some things to mention there is that this is pulled almost directly from Powered by the Apocalypse style narrative games. It's be a fan of your character and their journey, spotlight your allies. So it's like, be a fan of the players, play to find out what happens rather than playing to win, and address the characters and address the players. Hold on gently, which is one of those, don't get too attached to something that I agree with from both a player perspective, but then also from a maker of the game, runner of the game perspective. You really do need to try to be on a line, but if something swerve with it. Don't try to just bust through. It gets pretty shoddy if you do for these kinds of games. And then build the world together. Verbiage that this game uses a lot in the playtest that I want to point out is for play. The purpose is player-driven campaigns. So
which is that's a bet, right? This is my first time looking at any of this. We were talking about it before this, and I'll shame myself. But that's a tough bet to make in some times. Just, we've all run D&D. We've all had many different players, and giving the system enough to be toothsome for some players, but not too much for others, enough to get into it, man, that's a tall order. It is, just in general.
Yeah, I'm always curious.
Love to see.
They talk about like, oh, we help this game. You can help build the world. Like, you come up with this, and as a team, and we, as being friends for so long, I'm sure we could, if we wanted to play this game, we would have a session 0 or even -1 where we have to come up with these things. But how many people, find online parties? I don't even know how to find the ratio of that. But
yeah,
the people who are like joining, like, or paid DMs, GMs that have to make all of this stuff on their own because people want to join and they just want to play.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's impossible. It's just I can't wait to see what they sprinkled in to get the player into it, right? Because that's the thing about Critical Role. They are into it, like you said earlier. They are into it, and it makes you go, that's exactly what I want.
All right, so
what the system has to do.
Let me describe to you the 2d12 Hope Fear dice. I don't know if you've seen it yet, so I'll be very interested to get your take if you haven't actually gotten a chance to read it. So the 2d12 Hope Fear system, you roll 2d12. One of them is your hope die, and one of them is your fear die, and then you add whatever modifier is pertinent to the roll. Once you roll, you find out if you succeeded or failed based off of a difficulty check. But you also then declare to the GM which of your dice was higher. If it was hope, you get a hope point, which is like a fate point, basically. If it was fear, you succeed, but the GM gets a fear point, and there's a consequence. So it's like a partial success from Powered by the Apocalypse.
And the cipher system, Numenera, is probably where that fear came from. Well, not came from, you know what I mean. It was, I think they actually say that.
Yeah, they say that the cipher system, they call it out.
Yeah.
No, again, so like anybody who's played more than 5 tabletop RPGs, and that's kind of a big ask in this day and age because D&D is so prevalent. But you will see the trappings of every single game you've played somewhere in this book. And it's usually the parts that make you go, oh yeah, I like that one.
Right.
It's got shit from Root in here. It's got stuff that strikes almost perfectly at Fabula Ultima. Like, the Hope Fear system is Fabula Ultima points also. So it's very much, there's a point pool for the players. There's a point pool for the GM, and the GM gets suspended. And what I love about this is, oh man, I want to get into the combat. We can't yet. Okay. Leveling is 10 levels. Upon leveling, there are 2 different systems that you play with. There is a card system for domains. Each character class comes with 2 domains that it has available to it, and card sets according. The card sets currently that we see are like 2 cards per level, I want to say. And you get to start with 2 cards at level 1, and then you get a card every level that you can pick. And you can trade down if you want to the level 1s when you're level 2, but you can also grab. So it's very reminiscent to me of like Pathfinder 2nd edition, where you have your when you level, you get a feat per level.
Yeah.
Philip, you were also mentioning 4th ed and the cards for 4th ed, which these are also cards.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
4th edition was big. That's how they wanted to get people to play, is just print out these cards when you level up, pick which one you want, keep it in your hand.
Yeah.
There were
and already. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say there were 4 billion cards in 4th edition.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, already I can see how they're trying to get that player buy-in, because the cards are the easiest system I can think of to do abilities, because you just give them what they have, not what they don't have, and when they level up, they get cool new ones to look at. It's kind of the only style of game that I play when I'm not playing something super long term is deck builder roguelike card game.
It is very much a different.
Yeah.
Not only that, but the game actually comes with a very I'm gonna say Guild Wars 1-esque, but that's because I'm an old man. Loadout system. You can have at any point 5 domain cards in your loadout.
I see.
And then the rest of them are in your vault. But also in this game, they let you pay a stress price per whatever the card is to pull it to use from your vault, but it just costs to do so.
I see.
So there are some like high stress cards that if you keep them in your hand, they're already paid for, right? You're just using them as you need them. But there's some like 0 level stress cards that are like, it's very situational. But when it happens, that's when you can just pay 0.
You can yoink it right from your vault.
Basically
but I
free.
think you have to swap something, right?
I think so. I think you have to swap it.
Interesting. So that improv as well.
But damn if that's not good, because first off, you want to keep a limit to what you have in front of you, because holy shit, it gets confusing. Having your deck in 4th ed specifically was a lot sometimes.
And the cool thing is because they sort of set it at 5, you get a chance to be using the cards. So then when you gain something new, if you're taking, now that you're level 5, you're getting something new. Excuse me. You're getting something new. You're replacing it probably with a lower level thing. So something you've been using for a while. So you're not going to forget that it's in your vault. It's something you've tried and
Right.
And I think that's cool. It's not like a brand new thing and it's like, I may never use this, because you put it off to the side. It's like, I may never use this. You just forget you put it off to the side. I may never use this.
Yeah, it gives
just
you a
forget
chance to actually experience those abilities so you can figure out what you like and don't like.
I apologize for anybody who's listening. I was just trying to check our sound on the thing, and then I remembered that all the mic goes through me and doesn't need an endless feedback loop if I were to keep that up. So that's going to be a little weird in the booth. Apologies. Yeah, no, it's tailored down so that it's easier to understand, but then the ability to be like, I have this ability, but I didn't bring it with me. That is the most frustrating thing for me. Playing a wizard in 5e is frustrating as hell for me.
Yep.
Because it's like, I don't know what we're doing today. The DM hasn't told me, so I'm just going to bring my catch-all loadout and maybe 1 or 2 fun special things, and that wasn't useful, and I should have just brought Steel Wind Strike. Fuck.
Yep.
Because I only play Blade 2.
Yeah. Hey, I had Steel Wind Strike on a Abjuration Wizard, and that was fun.
You did. It was
not
very
that I got to use it.
I did. Hey, I crit.
Destroyed
It was
my
fun.
campaign in 1 move.
Yeah.
It was a 1 shot. Come on, it wasn't that bad. I had a good time.
It was a 1 shot, and you 1-shot the boss.
What do you mean he only had
Not only the
70
boss,
HP?
but all of his minions.
Yeah.
Memories.
I was like,
all right, let's talk about some stuff. So you have a class and you have a subclass. The class gives you a bunch of baseline stuff like damage thresholds, different modifiers, and HP, I think, as well as armors available to you and equipment you can get. the basic D&D stuff. But you also have your heritage, which is a combination of your ancestry and your community. So they don't call it race, thank God.
Interesting, yeah.
But they give you an ancestry feature and they give you a community feature, both of which that you can customize to your liking. It's worth mentioning that the ancestries that you can hail from in this game range from cut and dry fantasy to wildly anthropomorphically fun.
Yeah, I'm looking through the list now and I'm like, oh, there's a few.
There are 18 different ancestries.
Yep. Some
which
of
is
them are real
just
weird. There's a thing called a ribbit. That's just a frogman.
That is just, yep.
The fungrel, if you want to be a mushroom person.
Oh no, there's a monkey person. Philip, you're trying to play this, right? I see that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like, I see that character and I'm like, yep.
It's the Philip one. Yep.
Yes. And there's a giant, so you can play Peak Watcher.
So I mean, yeah, it's got everything I need.
Yeah, exactly. The total package. There are 6 abilities.
Yeah. Are they? Because I haven't looked at them. Are they that familiar, or did they do some stuff?
They're agility, strength, instinct.
Okay. Yeah.
Presence.
Sure.
And knowledge. These all sound familiar so far.
Yeah.
But now I hit you with the switch up. There's finesse.
Agility and finesse, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
without looking at it, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please, by all means. Now that you're looking at it.
Oh no, I'm not looking at it. I'm not looking at it. Agility and finesse.
What do you think?
The first thing that I think, but it might be a silly idea, is agility sounds like defense to me versus finesse, but it also sounds like I don't know. That's hard. Agility, finesse, like just immediately, I don't know.
Well, they give a little examples on the page.
Yeah.
So for agility, you get sprint,
what page are you on, by the way,
leap,
so I can
and maneuver.
Sorry.
Oh, I just want on the character sheet. Any character sheet,
character sheet,
where it shows it. So
yeah,
agility,
okay, I see.
Sprint, leap, and maneuver.
Yeah.
And finesse gives you control, hide, or tinker.
Interesting. Okay.
So it's sort of like a macro versus micro, I guess. Agility is how mobile and movable and you can be, whereas finesse is like your fine motor functions.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at it now. Okay.
So basically, your finesse is like your tool proficiency, but also kind of your sneakiness. Whereas agility is mostly just like how physically dynamic you are. Strength is how powerful you are, and finesse is your ability to hit things. As far as I can tell, it's like the main thing, I think.
Sure.
I think strength also helps you hit things.
Yeah, strength does. I think agility does too. But it's interesting, right? Like there's the new stat, and they basically just said Constitution is a derivative of all the other things we do. Get out of here. We don't need to know how many HP you have. You have 6.
Which I don't think is a horrible call. I mean, Constitution is constantly just a dump stat, or just like, I gotta put points in there so I don't die.
Yeah, it's a passive stat that you don't actually get to have any fun with, but you need to keep it decent because otherwise you have no HP.
Right.
So.
That's one thing I do want to point out. If I remember correctly, agility in this game, you can move a short distance on your own, which is approximately 30 feet. If you want to move anything further than that, it's an ability check. So if someone is outside of your range and you need to get to them, there's a chance you can do it with agility.
This is very similar to a water roll in L5R. Which makes sense because this game has 2 different modes to the combat in it. It has grid combat, but it also has range bands.
Theater of the mind, as they said.
Which I'm so excited about range bands because they always make so much sense. Try to visualize them in your head.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that there is a grid and range bands, are there telegraphs? Are there template like squares and things, or is that where the range band comes in?
I think it's just the range. So like this
Okay.
thing is a melee versus very close
I see.
versus medium, very far.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe they
I think
also
they
have
have
funsy measurement tools like index card and pencil.
Yeah. Very far is the long side of a piece of paper.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So it's what it is. I'm fine with it.
Mhm.
L5R and Edge of the Empire / any of the Fantasy Flight Star Wars games really love their range bands, and they thought they were this great dynamic thing, and they're in the Genesis system too. And I hear people rant and rave about how much easier it is to understand, but then I get to the point where I'm at melee with somebody and my friend's over here, but then there's also another person that's at long range on the completely other side of the map from me, but that makes them not extra long range with my friend. They're still just long range from both of us, and my friend is short range away from me, but if they wanted to move it,
Yeah. Sure.
I haven't read how they
I mean-
implement it in this game yet. I'm just not looking for
Mm-hmm.
I could be wrong. I'd
Yeah.
love to be wrong.
I think it's meant to be that the ranges are. It's like, oh yeah, they're close.
Yeah.
And so you'd be like, okay, if they're close, I can get to them. If they're past close, okay, then you have to do the agility roll, and then you can make it to them.
Yeah.
I know there's different things. I saw someone has an ability where for one use of a resource we'll get to later, stress, you can just go to any other player that's about to be attacked
Interesting.
within 300 feet or something like that. You just launch yourself at them.
Nice.
Yeah, so I mean they don't
there's
really
teleports
like
and movement abilities too.
We
But
can't explain how this land walker just got 300 feet in 5 seconds, but okay.
It happened.
It happened.
My entire problem with range bands, and I'm going to shut up about it after this, is that range bands make perfect sense if you have one fixed point that you're measuring from. The minute that you have two different points and make a line, suddenly range bands get really confusing really fast, because relative range from you to here and this person to here doesn't jive well in my brain.
Mm-hmm.
The players have to keep track of their own range bands, and then the DM has to try and keep track of everybody's range. Like, okay, wait, did I say it was short range for you or you? Where did I put that? Especially for theater of the mind.
Yeah, how you do that on a virtual tabletop?
At that point, then you just use actual. The range is 30 feet.
The conceit of the game is if you're playing on a table and you actually care enough to have it, you can play on a grid. The game is built to be grid friendly, which that's something I appreciate, because I think that what the conceit is unlike Genesis, Edge of the Empire, L5R, once it goes to a table, you don't start drawing circles. You just go, no, grid. Feet movement.
Yeah.
Go.
Okay. Well, if it's kind of in levels of detail as you zoom in, okay, that makes sense. You both know me. You say no grid, and I go, no game.
I'm out.
You're like, I cannot correctly represent where everything is relative to me. I hate it, which is kind of how I feel too.
Isn't that an anime? No grid, no game?
No, it's no game.
I don't know, maybe.
It's no game, no life, but also good ref. All right, so other things that you have on your sheet, you have your stats. You have 6 of them, and they go. You're going to recognize this one a little bit, Charles. They go. You get a +2, a +1, a +1, a +0, and a -1.
Ah, okay.
We Powered by the Apocalypse.
I think there's 2 +1s or 2.
2 +1s, 1 +2, 1 -1, and a 0.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It's only 5.
Wait.
You're missing one. Maybe there's 2
Was
zeros?
there 2 zeros? I did not type.
Yeah, it's 2 zeros. It's all good.
Yeah, so 2
2
1s, 2
zeros.
I was
zeros.
like, wait a minute.
Gotcha.
That's I believe that's the typical Powered by the Apocalypse grid setup, and then Teens with Attitude scales it back because you get scaled up when you power up.
Yeah, and there's only 4, yeah.
Yeah.
But like Teens with Attitude, this one does, you do scale up as you go.
Now that said, a +2 and a +1 don't mean as much on a roll of 2d12 as they would necessarily in a 2d6 roll. But there's also other modifiers in this game that do things for you too. So another thing that you get baseline on your character, and you're gonna like this, Charles, you get evasion. You get an evasion score. I believe it's based off your class.
Okay.
So
it looks to be
very Lancer. You also get an armor score. They are not the same.
Can you use evasion in lieu of armor?
Nope.
Or
no, they're two separate things.
So evasion's dexterity save then?
No. Evasion's evasion. When someone rolls to hit you, you defend with evasion.
Huh.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, you could think about it as like D&D's armor class. If they roll below it, you're safe. If they roll above it, you're hit. But yeah.
Your armor value is conditional damage reduction.
Got you.
So based on the armor that you wear, and you start with, if you look at the screen, you have 3 little circles. You start with 3 durability on your armor baseline. You can get more or less with abilities, classes, things like that. When you're, and there's a damage calculation that we're going to get to later because this game claims to be rules light, and but
there's some crunch here.
When you take a hit in this game, you can reduce the amount of damage you're taking on the number of the damage by your armor class by checking a box in your armor.
I see.
So that's what your armor score is for. It's for damage reduction when you want it, but once you check 3 boxes, you don't have armor anymore, and you can't keep using it. You have to repair it in a downtime action.
Yep. So, which I think is pretty cool, because I agree that you get to this point where you have really high armor, and it feels like, oh, I'm just untouchable. Everybody misses. When granted, they're not missing. It's hitting, but it's having
bouncing
no effect,
off your armor. Or is it? Are you a wizard, a blade singer? Then you're dodging it, or weaving magic, or some other frou-frou way that you describe how you're doing it. But all of them fall under armor class. I like this. I like evasion and armor. I like Lancer. I like Beacon. They use the same kind of thing where it's like you have an armor that reduces the damage coming into you, then you have an evasion score, which is your ability to not get hit. Those are never going to be the same, and if you wear heavy armor, you're going to have a way worse time dodging.
Yeah. I feel that this is a better take on armor than the MCDM system, because the MCDM system, to bring it up, is just extra HP. Your armor is just more HP. Which makes a whole lot of sense in one way. However, the damage reduction is just a bit more active. You know what I mean? I just kind of like that. You choose when to do it, and you know how many you have left. That gives you some tension, you know?
Yeah. Speaking of which, something that we can go into now is you have hit points and stress in this game, very similarly to many systems that have your stress resource versus your health resource. You start with 6 HP.
It's a fine number.
Because there are damage thresholds on the amount of damage that you receive that deal you HP damage. If you are within your minor and your major damage threshold, you are dealt 1 HP of damage. If you are within your major and your severe, you are dealt 2. And if you are past your severe damage threshold, you are dealt 3. This is a very interesting system.
Yeah, it's just kind of flattening the numbers, really.
It's nice because you start with 6 HP regardless of what class you start as, I think, in this game. Yeah, I'm on the wizard right now, and they have 6 HP to start. So they are the lowest. They have the worst thresholds. Their minor threshold is 2, their major threshold is 7, and their severe threshold is 12 for damage.
Even Bard is one.
And then I think on the other end is the Guardian, who is at a 6 minor, 11 major, 16 severe.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, those are the variations between.
You also start with 5
Right.
stress, and stress is what you take if they roll under your minor threshold, you take 1 stress. As long as you're hit, you're taking a resource. And if you can no longer take stress, you will take HP. And stress is a spendable resource for you to do certain things here or there. You can push yourself, I think, like you can in some games. And there are also abilities that you have to spend stress in order to trigger. It's a spendable resource, stress and hope both.
When we were talking about the vault for your cards, pulling those is a stressful move.
If you're pulling from
Makes
your vault,
sense. Makes sense. And I think that, I mean, it depends because range is the way that it is, but it feels like spellcasters, I don't know, I haven't looked at it, but spellcasters should have more ways to build stress because they're going to. They're going to feel like they should be able to. And I would like to encourage them to do so that when they get hit, it does not feel good. So I don't know, but I think that that's something that I'd like to see for sure. But I guess they'd already be doing it because they'd be pulling cards out that they didn't potentially think that they would need. Yeah, it's an interesting system. Like, just flattening the numbers is not enough, but the stress, I think, really twists it in a way.
And there are ways to reduce stress and reduce HP damage by healing, things like that. Downtime activities as well. So, and short and long rests, which are still in this game.
Right.
So we'll never get away from those.
No.
So those all exist.
And I think the hope mechanic, if you roll and you get the hope, I think you can also use that for stress. Not 100% sure, but I think you can.
There are certain ways you can trade hope for better or for lowering stress, depending on the class you are, I think. Depending on But hope does a lot of things. Hope is like Fabula points on crack, is what I would say. Or fate points on crack. It's very lets you do a bunch of different things if you want to invoke one of your traits or whatever. Speaking of which, let's go into those. You have you have your background, which is basically completely narrative. You have your experiences, which are like traits from Fabula Ultima, or tags and powers from City of Mist. You start with 1+2 and 1+1 experience, and you can trigger them with hope before rolling a roll that relates to it. So that's a way to get that going.
No list, right? I would assume.
Correct.
Okay.
There's suggestions,
narrative.
but it's pick your poison, come up with a fun sounding thing, like in a beacon, in a Fabula, whatever you want.
Yeah.
I think I saw something like if you're like a rogue type and maybe you're, silver tongued would be a good one. If you were some kind of con man. So maybe you got a +2. So anytime you're trying to convince someone to do something, you get a +2.
Yeah.
Right.
I know that Laura Bailey picked for her fungrel just a sneaky little mushroom because she picked a fungus person rogue. And that'll apply however it does in the playtest that I watched later for them.
Yeah.
Your rolls for this game, like we said, are the 2d12 hope fear dice, and there is advantage and disadvantage addable to it, which is in the form of d6s. And conditionally, there are higher modifiers. This game does use a full set of dice, according to what they say. Basically,
I saw that.
Yeah, for damage and other things, but the core system is d12s and d6s. And the d6s advantage disadvantage dice work just like as far as I can tell, they work the same as Lancer. It is you roll as many as you can on one end or the other, and you keep the highest value for whatever one wanted. So if you had like 2 disadvantage and 1 advantage, you would only roll 1 disadvantage, and if you had multiple disadvantage dice or multiple advantage dice, you roll all of them and keep the highest. I believe that's how the system works. Not like the MCDM where you have Bane and Boon and you just get to stack them.
Yeah, you just keep going.
So the play purpose for this game, getting past the engine for the game for a second, the play purpose is cooperative fantasy storytelling, player-driven narrative. Sessions work the same way that sessions work, like in PBTA when we were playing Teens with Attitude. It is you declare something you want to do, or you ask a question of the GM. The GM can declare something that happens or ask something of the players, and you move forward after resolving the question with an answer. I did not get the leveling tempo. I'm sorry. I usually like knowing that. I like to know how long between it takes per session to level yourself up. This is a 10 level game, so depending on how long campaigns can be, I would see anywhere from like 2 to 3 sessions being a level. But
I think they said they figured it would be about a year to max out.
Max out, okay.
And I think that's their thinking, a weekly game.
Oh
yeah.
Wow. Okay, so you don't level much.
Maybe it was bi-weekly, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at least 3 sessions between each time they level up is the first thing that they say. That's 123.
Oh, okay, cool.
Oh, okay.
So with that in mind, that's about a month a level. That's
sure.
That's ye old Mike Merle's equation.
It is.
It is. You should have players leveling once per month at the maximum.
Mm-hmm.
It is. It doesn't matter how many times you play in that month. They should get a level on their character once a month. So figure it out. And when you think about that, you're like, that sounds stupid. But then you extrapolate it out and you say, that's a year and 8 months. Yeah, no, that's fair. If they've been playing this with me that long, they should at least be level 20.
Yeah, right. You should be maxed out. Well, no one ever makes level 20.
Not without biting. Which is what my group did. But we did make it to 20. But we asked Mr. Owl, he got 2 licks in, and then he was like, I'm tired at level 14. And we're like, well, then you're gonna level us 1 per session. We're gonna do 20. And he was like, okay, sure, we'll do that. Yay! I turn into an angel and I beat everybody up.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
So far, system good, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty interesting, right? There's a lot of wrinkles that have been put together in a way that haven't before. That's how you kind of mix it up. And yeah, looking at the names of the classes, like we haven't really gotten there yet. I get a feel for what they do.
Mm-hmm.
Like in-depth card is basically what'll make it for me, basically. Like, so I can't wait until we get to that, but that'll take a while.
Yeah, I don't know that we're gonna. I don't think we should go too in depth on the character creation this time.
No, I don't think so. No,
we'd all be fumbling around in the dark. I did not do as much research as I did for Fabula Ultima, and even that took a while.
Well, this came out 4 days ago.
This week.
Mm-hmm.
I did like a month of on and off research and study on Fabula Ultima before I did that one. This is quick. So interesting stuff on the system. Let's just go through it. So the hope and fear system. There's a lot of systems that speak to it, but whenever you give players a resource that they generate on rolls and GM the resource that they generate on rolls, I love that. What I also love about this system is the way that it enhances combat. Because combat is still powered by the apocalypse. The GM does not have a turn in initiative. There is no initiative. It is. Go ahead.
So I saw something that I didn't fully understand.
There's a playtest. Are you talking about the playtest example in the book?
No. This is from their website. Like they talk about combat. The players, when they fight, they attack first, and they roll to hit their enemies. Every time they attack, they generate a token, and as soon as the players miss, the GM gets to claim all of those tokens and begin to do stuff. And I'm not exactly sure what their meaning of miss is. Like, if it's you just miss an attack. But
it's not just miss. It's when a player misses or rolls with fear.
Got you. Okay.
So every combat action is a 2d12 roll plus mod. You either hit or you miss, and you either roll with hope or fear. So there's a 50%-ish chance probably a little less than 50 because the dice skew towards the players, and because you can stack modifiers, you can do help things like that. That the players will hit, but the minute that they hit with fear, or the minute that they miss, and every time that they do an action, they take one of their tokens, which, by the way, that's one of the things in the system is it asks the players to have unique tokens for their character that they can pass around and do things with, which I love. Merch opportunities are just abound.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Coming to an artist alley near you every convention.
Boy, the Etsy shops for Daggerheart tokens once this game is allowed to publish third party, because they did actually say in their playtest materials, please do not publish or create any third-party materials for this game yet. And then they explain, because we're in open beta and we don't want you to make something that no longer is valid for the final game.
Right.
They are cool with people playing it on stream, as long as those people are willing to say very clearly, hey, this is playtest. I understand that, because the internet is forever. If someone wants to look up a Daggerheart Let's Play, they look up one that's from the playtest. It still has what I'm going to just call the shot of right now, the old armor rules. It's going to be a thing where people get real confused about the system real fast. That makes sense.
Yeah. So this tracker.
It's action tracker. It's a little card you put on the center of the table. When people take their turns,
it's the
they
thing
set
behind
one
me.
of their tokens on.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
But there's no limit.
There's no limit. As long as you keep succeeding, the gravy train keeps going. However, the GM at any point is allowed to spend 2 fear to wrest control from the players.
Got you.
And at any time, the GM can clear 2 tokens from the action tracker to generate 1 fear.
So theoretically, after 5 tokens are generated,
after 4 tokens are generated, you can wrest control, but you won't have any tokens to do anything with. So it's 5 is the
so that's why you need that
to
5th.
do something.
So once you get that 5th token, then you can.
Yeah.
If they were winning, if they
do you
were
see how they're
winning.
Interestingly gamifying the Powered by the Apocalypse Nebula bullshit, Charles?
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Yeah. I am just, you got to trust that table though, because this sounds like the tabletop card game set in which there's just a bunch of shapes, and whenever you find the set first, you go set and you slap your hand down and murder other people. And I just feel that this will happen with these tokens, right? Because the GM's just waiting and waiting. Okay, there's 2 I'm gonna grab, and someone's like, no, I'm going. Right?
The GM gets veto power.
GM wins, right?
GM wins.
Yeah. It's just a little friction that you don't normally have.
Yeah.
Just for some tables that couldn't handle it.
Yeah, but I mean, the other thing is there's hard and set. When the players fuck up, the GM automatically gets control. They don't have to use fear to wrest it. So
yeah.
And I don't know if the GM, the players are limited on the amount of hope they can have. They can have a max of 5 at any time, much like Attitude and Teams with Attitude. I don't think the GM is limited on their fear. I think they can have as much as they want. I could be wrong. I have not looked it up.
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine it would be unlimited because GMs don't really have a character sheet. Yeah. They don't really keep track of it that way. They would just keep adding. Theoretically, you'd want to use it for
177.
177.
GM can never hold more than 10 fear.
Okay, good. So there is a limit.
Yeah.
Figured there should be, so.
Yeah, so double the limit for a character's hope is what I'm hearing then.
That makes sense because
it makes perfect
there's only one of you, but don't get too crazy. There we go. Fear. Our hope is PC's core resource.
To do crazy things, not just have your enemies attack, but like a super move or extra craziness. I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoy this because it gives the GM a tracker, literally, for a game that usually it's like, well, when do I do a move? When they partial succeed, I'm allowed to conditionally do a move whenever I want. Otherwise, as a GM, but it has to be a soft move versus a hard move. This game is not only like, hey, you're fighting an enemy, here's your resource being granted to you by the players as they play. It then even goes into, if you look at the enemy stat blocks, all of their moves cost fear.
Mm,
So in order to
right.
trigger anything that's of meaningful value, it might not be all of them actually. I could be misspeaking there, but most of the things
Sure.
on their list that are their cool moves is spend one fear and X happens.
Hmm.
Very cool.
Yeah, I can see how they're really, really trying to push. What am I trying to say? Being present, right? Every player has to be present. The GM has to be present because we all know the story of I have 5 people and 1 DM, and this turn took 10 minutes, and now someone's on their phone. It's your turn. What was I doing? Yeah, okay. That flow.
Yeah.
I can see this breaking that up a bit.
Well, and not only that, but like with Powered by the Apocalypse, and systems, narrative driven systems like this in general, it is very up in the air how it works. Technically, one player can just, it's my turn, it's my turn, my turn,
Yeah.
my turn the entire time. You have to have, like you said, you have to have trust in your table. You have to have a table that's willing to play this cooperatively. One of the tenets of play is spotlight allies. So
Yeah.
I would imagine that
Yeah.
most play will actually even revert to almost an initiative like order.
Yeah, probably.
You mean as in like, well, I'm faster, so I'm going to go first type thing?
No, just like in terms of I took my turn, who wants to go next?
Oh, okay,
Right.
gotcha.
Kind of giving, like, letting the mic be open, and if no one says anything, then maybe you can just go again, because of course you have to do actions. You can't just stop doing actions.
Yeah,
but I could see in a good system where like someone who's like support being like, well, I'm going to save this, so I'm not going to do anything. Like, if it was my turn and the 2 of you had already gone, we say we had a 4th person was the GM, be like, just you 2 go again. I'm waiting for a buff. I'm waiting for an opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that makes perfect sense too. You don't always have to do something, and also you can there is a help action in this game.
Yeah.
To give advantage.
To give advantage, and I believe you spend a hope in order to do it, and you justify it. Forget if you have to justify it with one of your experiences or not.
I think it's just like narratively, like how you would do it.
Yeah, you justify what you do narratively. You spend a hope, and the player gets advantage. You can pile on, but much like with all other advantage rolls, you only keep the highest. So you're spending a lot of hope to get 1 die. Sometimes useful, other times maybe not as much. But something else that's very nice about these style of narrative driven rule initiative non-existent games is if there's a lull, that is the signal for the GM to make a soft move.
Yep.
If you give the GM an opening, they go, well, I'll go. Here's what's happening now, because you all did not decide to do something proactively. So that is, it's not even a punishment. It's the GM's job to keep the story moving. So.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
So let's see. Yeah, and
the HP.
Yeah, the HP and Daggerheart. Oh man, I just put down its harm plus D&D HP's strange baby. So because of what we said, Charles, earlier, it is damage thresholds for the damage that you take, and then that translates down to a modulated version of what you take in HP. This is complicated by the armor checks, which are a checked resource that you expend to get damage reduction. So here's where this game says this is a more rules light, less crunchy system. And I say to them, but here's what you're making someone do when you roll damage. Okay, so I rolled damage against your character. Their severe threshold is a 25. I rolled a 27, so you'll be taking 3 harm. Don't forget, you have armor on your character, so if you were to use your armor, which is 3, you'll reduce it down to 24. That makes it so that you're now in your medium to severe threshold range. You're going to reduce the HP down to 2, and you mark 2 HP on your sheet if you want to spend that checkbox. Don't forget to check the box. That's a normal fucking attack roll. Guys, that is not simple. And that is not rules light. No.
And just the math of it, like depending on where, if you were at the 5, 10, 15 and you're wearing heavy armor that does 8. So, I hit you for 17 minus 8. It's like, okay, that's, what is 17 minus 8? It's 9. That drops me down to 1. No, that's 2. I'm 2 down. So it was a severe. Now it's just a minor. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's just more math. You got to not only the damage, but then you got to subtract the damage out.
Mm-hmm. And then convert it
And
down
I mean,
into
like,
what its core number is and things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
again, they really did conflate it in this. And here's the thing. I love this system. It's very cool because I like the idea of being like, hey, what's your HP? And rather than being like, out of 101 HP, I'd say if I'm going from like, plus players don't like talking about HP in some games. So you like to be like, well, if it was a scale of 1 to 101 about how I'm feeling, I feel like I'm feeling about a 75 right now.
Let's
So
go from 1 to 27.
That's a big number. But what they traded it with is roll bigger number, convert down into smaller number, by the way, modify number to make potentially small enough to be less.
Right. It's because they want you to roll big, and I'm going to say it, big dick damage. They want you to roll it.
Yeah. No.
They want you to have it, but they also don't want it to be so freaking swingy.
Yeah. They don't want you to get crit by a goblin and die outright as a wizard. Yeah. That is, I think, the core conceit of this mechanic is no matter how
That's
hard
the fantasy
someone
here.
No matter how hard you get dick kicked at level 1 or crotch botched,
You'll take 2.
Take what you got. You're going to get at most 3 damage. You will have to take 2 of those to be at 0. It's not bad. Speaking of which, yeah, go ahead, please. I'll be right back, but I'm listening.
No, I was thinking that is a cool idea to know that you have that, and then so that not everybody, so that a wizard isn't just as strong as the warrior. The damage thresholds are a lot higher, and of course you can, depending on how you want to play your character. I'm sure we will get to this in a little bit, but when you level up, you can choose, like same with like Powered by the Apocalypse or Teens with Attitude that we played. You get to pick, like, I've leveled up, I wish to increase my health by 1, or I wish to increase my severe threshold by 3. And so the higher if you're more of a frontline class, when you level up, those numbers are slightly higher. So that way you can be like, oh, or my middle damage, the medium hit is 2 points higher. And so I think that's kind of interesting that you can, if that's the way you play, they have a mechanic so that when you level up, you can choose to focus on that. You don't have to.
Yeah, you can give yourself more armor pips as the Guardian class.
Sure, because I was
5 instead of 3.
Yeah, okay. I was just looking through like the Guardian, right? For abilities that change the threshold. And of course, you can mark stress to reduce the severity down 1 threshold or just 2 stress, right? So, okay, that makes sense. And that's how they are more tanky, of course, the threshold, and then the ability to just kind of reduce it even after armor or before, I suppose.
Something I think is kind of interesting is that when you level up, and James, if I'm getting too far ahead, please.
No, please, by all means. This is a good one to bring up now that we're talking about the checkboxes.
When you level up, everybody gets essentially the same things. Like everybody can increase their traits by 1. Excuse me. Everybody can permanently add a hit point or a stress slot. Everybody can increase 2 of their expertise or their proficiency by 1. Everybody can take an extra armor slot or +1 to your evasion. And then everybody has a way to increase their thresholds. The number on the thresholds is different, but you can increase those. And then you get something. So like from level 1 to level 2, everybody takes an additional experience. Doesn't matter what you're doing. And then you also have increase your severe damage threshold by a certain number. And then you choose a new power card. And so I think that's interesting that everybody is the same. So you could theoretically have a fighter, a warrior and a guardian, and they can level up the exact same path if they wanted to, but they would still end up differently because the values are different in their severe damage, major damage.
Right.
I think that one of the interesting things that I'm confused by is that when you level into these different zones, it tells you to clear all marks on character traits. I don't quite understand what they're saying with that.
I can tell you, I saw this.
Yeah.
If
Does that mean you lose
look,
the bonuses that you would get?
No. So if you were looking at the 6 marks where you would put your numbers, right?
Yeah.
You put your standard array. The first time you level up, if you choose to do so, you would add a +1 to 2 of those values, and that little circle next to its name, you put an X in.
So that you can't just pump it. I see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what is the unmarked. You add it by 1, and then it becomes marked. And there are 3 boxes for the 3 levels. So you could choose just to up your stats, and nothing else.
Yeah. And
then that way you know which ones you've done, so you don't accidentally be like, oh, upgrade your strength twice.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than you guys' leveling, Teens with Attitude, and in most of these games, you get to pick 2 checkboxes every level.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, you can up all of your stats every turn or every level if you want to, and still increase your health, increase your stress, and increase your armor, right? Those other 3 things. Or if you don't really care about your stats, like you're not really using them, maybe you only do it twice, up 4 of your 6 stats. That gives you higher damage and more proficiencies,
I love this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that they've separated out, here's all your number crunching from here's your cool abilities that you can choose, because nothing feels worse than in 5e going, well, I get a feat, but I could get 20 strength.
Yeah.
Shit.
Or you're like me and play variant human at all times. Because
you don't play human, just get +1 to everything? It's statistically
variant
efficient,
human gets
Charles.
the feat. I want the feat. You hear me, Baldur's Gate 3? Give me the feat.
We gotta stop talking about feet on this channel.
It's true.
Yeah. No, so it does this thing in this game Daggerheart where it's like, I want to have cake, but I also want to have a smoothie or ice cream, and I'm gonna put them both on the same plate, and I love both of these things. And from the way that it looks like they've really done an interesting and good job of it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've got news for you. You could put that cake and the ice cream in a blender, and that's what they've done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's exactly what they've done.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is like how they've mixed all these things together that I love.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where I'm like, oh man, they took all the good parts of everything and they put it in one place. And then it's like, okay, but do I honestly want surf, turf, and dessert in a smoothie blender? Or is this going to be correctly apportioned enough to be an actual whole 4-course meal that just feels good all the way through?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I had a question about the level up if you had seen it. So when you hit level 5 or 8, you get the option to multi-class.
Yes.
I haven't played with that yet.
So the thing says when you hit 5, that one of your options becomes you take an upgraded subclass. You got a subclass when you started at 1. Currently there's only 2 options, but that could change later on. So you pick one of them, and then you take an upgraded subclass card. So they're at level 5. It's a more powerful thing. If you choose to take this upgraded subclass, cross out the multi-class option for this tier.
Meaning you can only do it once per tier, which makes sense.
Right. If you multi-class, you choose an additional class for your character, then cross out an unused taken upgraded subclass card and the other multi-class option on this sheet.
Yeah, you can only do it once.
It looks like it's the specialization.
So, but the reason I asked is because in the box there are 4 boxes, 2 for 5 through 7 and 2 through 8 through 10. So is that saying that if you multi-class now, you can only, what does it mean, the other multi-class option on this sheet?
Through this stuff so fast.
There it is, yes. So there at the bottom, it's got 2 boxes. And so that's why I'm curious when they say and the other multi-class option on this sheet.
Right.
So
Which one do you mean?
Yeah, so if you're taking one box, you then have to cross out the other one that's right beside it. Then why put two boxes?
Yeah.
Or does it mean on the other side, like on the 8 through 10?
Yeah, I don't know.
Sure.
Because you can also level down, I guess might be a way to say it. So like when you hit level 5, you could permanently add one stress slot from that, or you could go back to 2 through 4 and pick one of those again.
Do you want to give people more whiplash? In the main book, 125, or the main book,
the book,
377 page one, 125 bold. When you multi-class, you must also cross out one available take an upgraded subclass card option on the level up sheet, meaning you will not be able to gain the mastery card for any subclass. Period. You will also cross out any other multi-class options, as you can only multi-class once during a campaign. So yeah, they mean all of the other ones.
Then why are there two? Or why are there 4 boxes? That's weird. So okay.
Yeah.
Maybe this is one of those things that are subject to change, and they're also highlighted differently than the rest of them are.
Yeah.
So I
don't think it's okay. So choose an additional class for your character. Cross out an man. We're gonna detect this out on stream. Cross out an unused taken upgraded subclass card and other multi-class option on this sheet.
Yeah.
Which would make sense. Like if you take it at 5, you can't also take it at 8, and vice versa. If you take it at 8, you can't then retroactive, like, because you can I say retroactively or whatever when you.
But I see what you're saying. You're saying why isn't it only one checkbox, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can take your level 5 feature for your subclass. Maybe that's what it's saying. You can do that, and you can take one from something else. But once you take one from something else, you're fucking done. Cross it out for the next 2 tiers. Maybe. Because like Wizard level 5 still has School of Knowledge and School of War, and you can take the specialization of the subclass at that level. But I'm not sure that that's not just to.
Oh yeah. Okay.
No, I think that's the thing. Like when you hit 5 or 7, 5 through 7, at one of those levels, you can take the upgraded subclass card. You don't have to do it at 5. Maybe at 5 you want to increase your character trait and add an extra hit point because you're squishy as a wizard or whatever. But and then at 6, you'll take it.
I think that's what it's saying. I think what it's saying is, oh god, listen to. Don't look at the screen, people. I am apologizing now as I scroll through all these things so fast.
Do not perceive me.
Someone's going to say they threw up while watching, and I'm going to be like, yeah, I get it. So, but if you look here, okay, so I think I figured it out. Multi-class. Choose an additional class for your character, then cross out an unused, take an upgraded subclass card, which is the thing right above it.
Yeah.
And the other multi-class option on this sheet.
Yeah.
Now, when it says the other multi-class option, does it mean the box that's right next to it, or does it mean the one that's in the?
Then why do they give you 2 boxes? Okay, yeah. I thought no. Yeah, I don't know.
No, I mean in the book it says you will also cross out any other multi-class options, as you can only multi-class once during a campaign. So if you ever fill a box, you cross the rest of the 3 out.
That doesn't
which is like
sense.
why are there 2? I'm not entirely sure on that.
It seems like maybe this is just me. What they should do is remove the option from 8 through 10, because you can always pick a lower level upgrade. Remove the one that's on 8 through 10 and just have the one box on 5 through 7. So anytime after you hit level 5, you can pick the sub.
No, you know what this is? Fuck me. This is Pathfinder 2 archetypes. At certain levels in Pathfinder 2, you can choose to have an archetype, which is where you take a shittier version of an ability from another class, or you take something more potent from within your own class.
Yes. Well, so there is a there's a page that is just multi-classing sheets.
Yeah.
So like if you multi-class into Bard, you choose one of their domains and you get like their, say you take their Grace domain, which allows you to pick a Bard card and you get their features like Rally and something.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, you get those extra arcane cards, domain cards. Sorry, not arcane, domain.
You know what I'm gonna say? Sometimes we have a person who watches us who will then put stuff in the comments explaining something that we didn't understand. Hit us up. Let us know what we're not figuring out about this 2-box dilemma, because it sounds like they gave us too many boxes. Maybe they're gigabraining on us, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way, though, cool to be able to pick from something else. I know that in Teams with Attitude, you guys have the ability later on to be like, I'm going to pick something from someone else's character playbook, and that's what this feels like. It feels like that kind of vibe.
Yeah. And I will talk, because one of the only other things that I knew about this beta was how proud they were of not even like this multi-classing system, but this sidecar character sheet system.
Yes, I have heard that phrase many times.
Yeah. So yeah, I heard it once and I was like, oh, that's cool. So yeah, you just slide this over and that's your multi-class and that'll be on your right side. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I'm not gonna do that. Probably. I mean, maybe. I don't know. I kind of like it. It would be great for people who aren't used to it because it's somewhere else, but like, man, I don't know. Like, that might get a little unwieldy. Like, it's already taken up a bit of space. So I don't know. That's my feeling on it. It's really cool. I think it's a good idea. But I don't know. Like, what else goes on the right side as a sidecar? Maybe nothing else. Maybe just your multi-class. But at that point, I'm just going to write it on my main sheet so I don't have to slide it out. I don't know. I don't know.
I think it's I think the leveling up is cool. The multi-class is a cool idea that, you know, and only doing it once makes sense. You know, it helps. Since there's only 10 levels, it reduces the huge, you know, I'm not sure what the words I'm trying to use here, but just keeps it reined in, keeps your character sort of true to itself with maybe a little extra.
It feels very much like the dilemma you get in 5e, where it is, well, you can take a subclass or you can take a multi-class option, but when you do that, you lock yourself out of your ultimate ability. Sounds like that's exactly what they're saying. They're trying to artificially, in a Powered by the Apocalypse / 4th edition version of leveling up, give you that same feel for you can be 20 in a class and get super powerful at that one thing, or you can multi-class and just be more versatile going through the levels, but you won't ever hit that peak.
Okay.
I always enjoy that kind of. That said, I do absolutely every day still just agonize over what the correct ratio of Bard to Rogue is to get the optimal thing out of it. And it's always looking at level 20, which I will never be playing at on Bard Rogue.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
If I take 11 in Rogue, then I get reliable talent, but if I take further into the Bard class, then I unlock more expertise.
And depending on what you take, like, you know, which class you multi-class into, it may or may not even give you a new arcane or a new domain.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know, it may be.
Oh, because you might already have the domains.
Yeah, I don't. Well, you may already have one of them, so you'd only have basically like, oh, you can multi-class, but you're only getting half of the benefit. Because I don't think there are any like true doubles, but everybody shares.
Yeah, shares something. Yeah, and you know, the whole multi-classing even just once means that you can't get the mastery card for your subclass. That's another thing to think about, right? Because like I just opened one at random, like sorcerer, and like the level 8, because that's by the time you could get it. Masteries in here are pretty good. Just gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, it's a card, right?
Yeah, it's a card. It'll be at level 8. It says on the left side subclass mastery. At level 5 is the subclass picking ones, because that's when you pick your subclass or multiclass.
No. So your subclass is level 1.
Yeah, but 5 is when you get the thing.
5 is your upgrade, and then 8 is your mastery.
Specialization, yeah.
Yeah. So you get your domain or your vibe check. I don't remember what they call it. Then you get your specialization, and then you get your mastery.
Yeah. Yeah. So like,
yeah, I'll just say Stalwart subclass mastery is for Guardian. When you take this mastery, raise all of your damage thresholds by +2. When an ally within close range has 2 or less available HP and takes damage, you can immediately mark a stress and sprint to their side. That's the one you were talking about, Philip. You just within range 2 or within close range, but even still, it's like just go to
close range.
You take the damage instead. Fine. Then Vengeance is spend a hope to mark an enemy until your next rest. When you make an attack roll against that enemy you have marked in this way, you can adjust your hope or fear die by +1.
Interesting.
That sounds terrifying. I don't understand how you game that yet, because adjusting your fear die would be weird, but okay.
I'm curious how they have whatchamacallit, like, so it says take an upgraded subclass card. I'm assuming that doesn't mean you lose your previous subclass, right? It's just you now have 2 of them.
Yeah, you get an extra ability, but you still have your loadout, so you have to consider that. By the way, when you're looking at all these cards, I believe that the 1 and the 2 and the 3 with the little lightning bolts at the top, I believe that's the stress values for these things. So putting them into your loadout from a switch out requires that much.
Yeah, but I think with what you were talking about, Philip, you only ever pick the subclass, the foundation, once, and then you have to pick the upgraded one. But it's weird, right? Because that means I could pick the other one, because I get the. I could. Yeah, I guess I could. Doesn't say I don't need the original one for an upgraded one, or do I?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Because, like, what was it for? So for the Guardian, you have Stalwart and Vengeance. So if you take Vengeance for your foundation, does it mean you have to take Vengeance all the way up?
Yeah,
like, it seems like you would, because in D&D, you can't switch your subclass in the middle.
I believe that your subclass is the only one you can use. I don't think that you can take the other one, though maybe that's the way that your sub.
Like on 125 above multiclassing, it says when you choose to take an upgraded subclass card, take the next card in the subclass arc. If you only have the foundation card, take a specialization. If you have a specialization, take a mastery. You will also cross out the option to multiclass during that entire tier of level ups. So you either specialize, master, or multiclass once per tier, basically. Seems like.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Yeah, okay. So you could get that specialization first because you wanted it, and then multiclass after, or you can multiclass and get the specialization, or say screw it and go all the way up to master in that subclass. Okay.
This sounds like a very intricate system that will make it will make so much easy sense when you have the character sheet in front of you and you see the cards. Which is, by the way, while we're talking about these cards, let's pull away from multiclassing a little bit, because that seems to be a black hole conversation for us. Let's talk instead.
No, it's fine.
No, believe me, I want to solve it. I don't think we're going to do it within a 3-hour span. So with that in mind, I think that we should talk about just these cards in general. I love the concept of them because the absolute gorgeousness of it is, I mean, there's a card for what class you want to play. There's a card for what ancestry you want to play. There's a card for what community you come from, or your heritage, your ancestries, and your community combined. And so you basically, for each of these character sheets, you have a full loadout of these things, and you just go, I want that, I want that, I want that. When I'm leveling up, domain cards, I'll take that one. You just, and even as a GM, like, crazy to me that you can basically just come to people and say, okay, here's a blank character sheet. You hold on to that for a second, and now flop deck of character classes on table. What do you want?
Yep.
Pick one.
Yeah.
If you guys have a chance, there's a video where Matt Mercer and what's his name? That's it. Yes, where they make
Bertram Bell.
Bertram.
Yeah, Bertram Bell.
Yeah. And it's
a character that famously Travis created for a one shot, intending to murder him, and then nobody let him die. So, spoilers for season 3. He brings it in as his first character in season 3, and immediately lets Matt kill him off screen.
Nice.
It is,
but yeah. So he makes that character in this game.
Yeah. I will say
exactly what he does. He literally hands cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. What a great way to be able to assist a player in building their character.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did that for 5th edition when I was teaching some people at the company that I worked at how to play D&D, because I heard that they had never played it, and I was like, that's stupid. And I found a card-based system. So you would take your race. This is D&D, so that's what they were calling it at that point in time. Your class, and I think there was something else you could. I can't remember what else there was, but it was just all laid out, and I was like, okay, put it together. There you go. It's the best way. It's so good. I will mention, because you know I'm going to mention, this has nothing to do with that, but I'm searching for how I punch. I'm just going to tell you that right now. And if I don't find out how I punch, because there's no monk, I'm going to be disappointed.
Well, check the weapons list. I'm sure that there's an unarmed.
Yeah, it's probably weapons. Yeah.
And the cool thing is every page shows their weapons. So any character sheet will show what weapons they have.
Mm-hmm.
Something that we should talk about. We were talking about combat and how it flows and how HP works.
Yeah.
We did not talk about one of the things that is, I would say it's a pull from Fabula Ultima, but honestly, Matthew Mercer has always been a fan of funny death mechanics. And this, I think, is like, it takes the Fabula Ultima in the player's hands mechanic and ratchets it up to 11. Because you have 3 options when you go to 0 HP in this system. You can surrender and face consequences. You can go out in a blaze of glory, same as in Fabula Ultima. Burn your cosmos, or you can risk it. That is, you roll your 2d12. If hope gets higher, you recover, and if fear gets higher, you just die.
That's it.
Instantly.
Did you? We didn't mention this before, but when you roll your hope and fear, if you get the same numbers, that's a critical success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you crit in this game.
Doubles or crits. Okay.
If you risk it and crit, you reset all of your damage and all of your stress, and you are just
recover. You just absolutely wipe to 0 and start fresh in the fight. If you crit on the risk it roll. You just stand back up. You strap on the cap shield. You go, I could do this all day. And it's like nothing happened. Just what an absolutely bonkers thing to add to that surrender or sacrifice system.
Yeah.
Surrender, sacrifice, or are we gambling, man?
Yeah. What's gonna happen now?
Because you could pop right back up. It doesn't full heal you, but if you roll hope, I believe you recover a certain amount of stress and a certain amount of HP, and you pop back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even think there's a penalty for doing that multiple times. I think you could just keep letting it ride if you really, really are feeling frisky. I could be wrong on that. That feels like it might be too strong, but pretty sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough chance to get. What is it? 1 out of 12 and 1 out of 12. So 1 out of 144. Risk it. Go risk it. That's fine.
That is the most insano bonkers thing that I think anybody could have ever done. I love it.
Sure. Yeah, I do like it a whole lot. Because, death is supposed to be an impactful thing. And in 5th edition, they tried with death saves, right? I'm skipping the 3rd because 4th, your blade value negative, I think it was.
Yeah.
When you die?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is the biggest wiggle room that they've ever given, because
It used to be minus 10
it's negative
HP.
10.
What?
Done. Flat value, which would be instant at level
Love
6 or
Goblin's
above,
comic.
probably.
Goblin's comic, you got those panels. It was minus 1 HP per turn every time that someone didn't bring you back up. There's a lot of minus 10s that happened in that. They were just tragic.
Yeah, and for me, 5th edition's death save system, it kind of feels like a chore to me, because not only does it just go up normally, but every time you get hit, it goes up, right? If you get crit, I think it's twice, right?
If they're critting you, which is within melee
easier
range, hit, you auto crit.
Yeah.
It's 2.
Yeah. So that's 2 immediately.
It's so unnecessarily adversarial. It is designed to, I don't think they designed it to be that way, but the way that it ends up being is, okay, so your character's on the ground, and either I can evil mat you and step on your head to make sure you're dead, which will earn me the ire of everyone at the table.
Everybody.
As a GM. Or I can leave you there and put myself at a tactical disadvantage, because the minute someone throws healing word at you, you get a full turn next time you come up.
Yeah.
1 HP and 100 HP are the same number until you run to 0.
Which is why, as a bard healer, I just have healing word. I'll just get you back up if you died or fallen down.
Not only
that's all. That's healing.
Not only does the mechanic influence, but it also influences what the players have to bring with them because of it. That is so obnoxious.
It really is.
Yeah,
really,
and as you get further in the game, there's no your healing never catches up to the amount of damage someone can take. So there's never a point at which you're like, oh, I'm going to use my big heal. I'll use the biggest one I've got. If they were dead and they come back up, one attack will still take them right back down.
Oh, we forgot something about
What's that?
We want to talk about the tag team role.
I don't know what that is.
That was kind of interesting. Yeah.
Here, I got you. Each player can choose 1 time per session. This is a limit break. To spend 3 hope and initiate a tag team move with another PC. When you do, work with your chosen partner to describe how your two characters combine their actions in a unique and exciting way. Both you and your partner make separate action rolls, but before resolving the rolls' outcome, choose one of the rolls to apply for both of your results.
Got you.
Now, I don't know if that's limited to having to be 1 hope, 1 fear. If it's not, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. It's kind of like something empowered by the apocalypse. I remember doing this quite a bit, but it was kind of the rolling to help.
Well, there's also help an ally. You spend a hope and you just give that. You roll a d6 for them. Yeah,
and just give it to them. This, to me, reminds me of you said Limit Break. It's brand new in Rebirth. It's not a spoiler. It's a system thing.
Yeah.
There are synergy abilities in which every time you use an active time battle chunk, you get a pip. You and another character use 3 pips, and you do a big synergy move.
Nice.
That's it. Yeah, that's very much what it feels like here.
I believe that in that game, it's based on your relationship value, what things you have unlocked between multiple characters, right?
There's a pseudo sphere grid to unlock them.
Okay.
So, you would invest in having the synergy ability between 2 characters like Cloud and Tifa, because you're going to use them.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Again, the whole thing with Final Fantasy Rebirth or Remake. Sorry, Rebirth is the second one somehow. That's because the baby comes after you make it. That makes sense, actually.
Nothing makes sense.
No, but I remember hearing Final Fantasy VII Remake, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and I was the jaded little FF6 kid who was like, well, I'm not going to play that. And then they showed the Tifa trailer, and like Bender and Futurama, I said, I forgot you can tempt me with things I like.
Yeah, exactly.
I will be purchasing this game forthwith. And I bought the Butterfingers to get the Tifa theme on the PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
I'm so mad that they don't have themes anymore on the PlayStation 5 because I would have just transferred it directly over.
Yeah. Yeah, but that whole synergy type thing is another way to keep everybody involved, right?
Yeah. It's fun. It's great. And since there's no turn order, it's not like you have to line up your initiatives and do all this other stuff. It's just like, hey, you want to do something really sick, nasty? I have 3 hope and we can do this once a session. It's like, yeah, why not? Also, I want to point out, it does not say that has to be a combat thing. It's just a thing that you can do as a combo at any point in the session as long as you have the resource and only.
They do say that the game is supposed to sort of like spin together, that there it sort of flows in and out of these things. Like it's not meant to be like, oh, the RP has stopped, now it's time for the fighting. Okay, it's dead. Continue to talk about your characters.
I mean, that's what they always say with these.
I think you're right.
Yeah, that's what they always say with these systems. But at the end of the day, it always is a, hey, that's great and fine, but you do still have a grid as an option for this game. And you do still have completely separate mechanics once you get into combat. I understand that you're still rolling 2d12. I understand it's all still the same stats, but Charles, I'm sure you feel kind of the same way about it. It's like, I still hear the battle screen music.
Sure. Sure.
Well, what about the fact that there are no skills?
Yeah, that was the thing I was going to ask about.
So,
because it's just your expertise, right? Or experiences.
It's your experiences and spending hope, and then whatever modifiers you have. And then people can assist you. You can get advantage and disadvantage through various means. So those are your modifiers. Other than that, it's whole hog what you have. And that is something that's fun. I like that there's no set skills. I like that it's more narratively driven and you can justify it based off the experiences that you have. The experiences will give you plus bonuses. They don't give you an additional die.
Right.
It's nice. And then you can level those experiences or give yourself new ones, depending. Which is very fun, because when it goes from level 1 to level 2, you get a new experience. You don't have to pay for it with pips. You just get one. And so the idea being that as you play your character, you can add in stuff to them, like you guys kill a bunch of goblins and you are now a goblin slayer. Or you went and saved a cat from a tree, so now you're friends with animals.
Yeah. There's a bit of negotiation there, because someone could say, I'm good at weapon. You know what I mean? Or I'm good at talk. Every type of talk. Deception, anything like that. So yeah, once again, table. Right? It depends on the people at your table.
Speaking of weapon, let's talk about damage rolls.
Okay.
Because here's a fun little Pathfinder 2e setup that we have going on here. You can have proficiency with weapons. For a weapon that you have proficiency with, you can have multiple pips. I'm sure you see it on the sheet. And for each pip that you have in your proficiency with that weapon, you roll an extra damage die.
Yeah, so you start with like, maybe it's a D8, and then if you decide to increase the proficiency, 2D8. If you have a weapon that gives you a +1 proficiency, 3D8.
Terrifying.
And that is one of your, every time you level up, each tier, one of your options can be to increase your proficiency by 1.
Okay.
So when you hit level 2, you could jump from a 1D8 to a 2D8, but then it won't be able to go up again until you hit 5. But at 5, you get 2 options, or 2 times you could pick the proficiency.
It's very similar to the runes in Pathfinder 2, which what leveling up weapons does in Pathfinder 2 is just adds an extra die for you, rather than having plus modifiers. Oh, cool. Which is nice, because it makes it so that fighters scale about as good as casters.
Yep, exactly.
Oh, very nice.
Trying to get rid of that whole linear fighter thing.
Yeah.
Hmm. It makes me think that at some point, maybe in a warrior, you also get a proficiency if you pick like weapon master or something. Like it kind of dovetails pretty easily together when you think about that. Like when you look at these stats, you can see how you could grant them to the player because of whatever class, or they did a quest. Like this is wide open enough that you could do that if you really wanted to be high powered. And it gives you a nice little adjusting knob, because really you're only supposed to get 4, I guess, totally. Start with 1 and then get 3 more from leveling.
You can
5 more.
increase by 1.
5 more.
Yeah.
Okay, I see.
There are 5 total pips on the
Got you.
level tracker. I don't know if it's any different between warriors or anybody else, but what I do know is that warriors get some very interesting cards.
Yeah, that's what I would imagine, right? Like give them a card and they get an extra proficiency for a little while. It would suck if you're at cap or something, but yeah.
The initial proficiency or foundation subclass, you can do Call of the Slayer. On a roll with hope, you may choose to place a single 1d6 Slayer die on this card instead of taking a hope. You can store a number of d6 Slayer dice equal to your proficiency, and you can pick up any number of these dice and roll them when making a weapon attack or damage roll to add their value to your total. Holy dice things, Charles. You know how I love this.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's a whole lot.
Up your proficiency, so it's not going to be much to start.
Yeah. I mean, not at start, but like as soon as, I don't know, as soon as what, 3rd level? Are there 2 proficiencies at that first level range or not?
Yep.
I think you're proficient
level 2 you could take
1.
a proficiency.
Yeah.
You can add 1. The first level range only has 1, I thought. Does it have 2?
Okay.
Yeah. No, so you start with 1, and then at level 2 you could take the second one.
1. Okay. So you're adding 2d6 in that level range, up to 4d6, and then up to 6d6 on Slayer. Plus, proficiency.
If proficiency equals a bonus die, then you start at 2d whatever for your proficient weapon, don't you?
Yeah. I would 3D, guess so.
Right? Or no?
No, I think you just, because active weapon, you start at 1 proficiency. You already got a dot in it from the start.
Yeah, so that is what gives you the first die, I would guess.
I think so.
Yeah, okay. So if it's not one of those, you're not proficient, you wouldn't do any damage with it, technically, I guess. Interesting. Yeah.
What is happening? Oh, that's why.
Stuff.
Yep, no, proficiency of 2 would give you 2d8. So, okay.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So that's basically your number of die you're rolling.
Oh, and Rowan makes an attack roll. That's a shout out to the secondary game designer, Rowan.
Look at that deep cut.
Well, I mean, they play tested this, so they're just writing Rowan Hall. Another one of the designers and one of the main designers on Candela Obscura. Very nice of them to be shouting out their actual in-house playtesting crews instead of just assigning weird names.
Since we were talking about damage, I don't think we talked about this before. The primary weapons, they all are, there's only enough that they are different. Like there aren't 7 items that all have the exact same statistics.
Right.
You'd be like, well, why would I pick one over the other? Or this one is clearly worse. But they're all like all the strength weapons. Like the first one is a D10 plus 2. If you want to go with a large version, it's a -1 to agility, but it's a D12 plus 2. And then there's a greatsword, which is massive. It's a -1 to agility, and but you get to roll damage. You get to roll extra damage and drop the lowest. And then there's a mace, which is lowest damage of all, but it's one-handed, which would allow you to have a shield or an offhand weapon.
They did this cute little hands or hand thing. They could just write it out, guys. You don't have to have goofy little hands showing up there. That's a bit for the burden. Unless you're going to somehow have 3 hands at one point. Case, I mean, go off. kings and queens.
Yeah.
I mean, it does show which hand is which for some reason.
Yeah, it does.
The
It's
weapons are
never the right
left-handed and
hand
shields
first,
are
though. It
right-handed.
prefers left, which is very rude.
That's true, right? Yeah, I was looking at primary and secondary weapons because I'm like, is that...
Oh, I see. Wait.
Mhm.
Okay, they're assuming we're all left-handed.
Yes, they are. Yeah, that your primary would be left and your secondary would be right.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that, like, I'm looking at it, and whatever class this is, sorcerer, could have a short staff, which is something that doesn't exist usually. I guess you call it a rod, but like there's not really I guess you a club. I don't know. Anyway, so you have that in one hand, but then you have a dagger in the other. And you attack with one or the other, but it can add stuff. Like one of them, the dagger is paired, so it gives +2 the primary weapon damage in melee, just for having it in your other hand, because it seems like burden is how they're doing the whole, this is a two-handed weapon, so it does more damage, but you have more mutability if you have that second hand.
Yeah.
Instead of focusing on damage only, because the dagger has +2 primary damage, but shields have other things. Whip has mark stress to scatter enemies in melee back to close range.
Yeah, so you take stress and you can basically push your enemies.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the chain
If you have a
flail 5-foot step build.
It is, right? Yeah. And even a sorcerer could. This is the sorcerer one, by the way.
Yeah.
So,
Matthew Mercer has gone on record before of like one of the first character that he ever played. He loved Gandalf, so he tried to play a mage with a sword.
Oh, good luck.
But I think he was playing AD&D at the time, or maybe even 3.5 or 3. It sucked, and he said so. So he was gushing about the fact that in this game he was able to play a sorcerer with a great sword, and it felt amazing.
Yeah.
And
that's
also
literally
goes
one of the options. Yeah.
Yeah, this also goes back to the MCDM thing of it shouldn't matter what your weapon is. Be allowed to wield whatever you want and just flavor it.
Yeah.
I've always thought that should be the way.
There's
just
also
makes sense.
It does. It doesn't need to make sense. It's fantasy, guys. We're not
Also
actually
true.
swinging real swords at each other.
Usually.
I remember I had a character that was basically based off of Blanca from Street Fighter, and I wanted him to use his like claws, but he wasn't a bare knuckle fighter. So I was like, okay, he's a barbarian, so I'm going to give him a great axe, and I'm going to flavor that great axe as bestial claws. And the person I was running was like, well, what about? And I was like, I can still be disarmed. All the negatives are still there. I just play it as if I'm clawing at them. And he's like, okay, yeah, sure. And so if it ever came up, if anyone ever disarmed me, like if we got captured, they could quote unquote, cover my hands or whatever and would take away my weapon. And I was like, yeah, I'll follow all the same rules. Just give me the ability to be like, I'm slashing at this person like a monster or like a beast rather than swinging a weapon.
Yeah.
It's just fun. Also, Charles, I will mention, level 3 warrior does have a trait in the Blade School called Versatile Fighter. You can choose to use the character trait of your choice on an equipped weapon rather than the trait the weapon.
There you go. Yeah. So there's your multiple builds, your swashbucklers, or at least one way. I'm sure the rogue could do it. I'm sure the bard could do it in some way.
And then when dealing damage, you may mark stress to take the maximum value of one of your damage dice instead of rolling it.
Yeah. I was looking at, just because I was looking at Slayer, because we were talking about it, the mastery ability is very interesting because it's not in combat. It is a downtime option called martial preparation. So you describe how you instruct and train with your party and gain 1d6 Slayer dice to give to anyone in the party. You divvy it up between you and the rest of your allies.
Oh, nice.
So they have Slayer dice until they use them.
Yeah. There's a lot
Interesting.
of granting of dice from the different classes that
Mhm.
I've seen in here. We're not going to really go too hard
Yeah.
into it because
Yeah.
that would be a whole other show. But
Yeah, but it just kind of shows how your mastery might not be directly in combat, but related to, and I'm sure there's other.
This game has a very tactile feel about it, and I want to bring that up because I love this. Everything about this game is not just like a sheet with words on it. It's a card, it's different types of dice. Speaking of which, we should talk about one of the core mechanics of this game that I do want to point out is just like we've been doing a lot of tip of the hat. I'm going to wag my finger at these guys a little bit for a second. I didn't write it down here, but this game has something called countdown dice. And what those are is you can take it's a D4, a D6, D8, or whatever dice you want to do. You set its maximum value, and then based on things that happen in the scene, that is well, one could even call it like a clock to keep track of for when you tick.
Would one call it that?
Yeah, I think, you know, there might be a system or two that calls it clocks or has something very similar but possibly legally distinct.
Can you use 2 dice so it could be 24 to, you know what I mean?
Well, it is a 2d12 system, but then you'd be limited to 2 to 24.
Yeah, exactly.
No 0.
Just use the 12, right?
I don't understand why they've done this. I do like the idea of measuring a clock with a die, because rather than drawing a pie, which is what Blades in the Dark asks you to do for everything, which is like, okay, where's my writing surface? They just say set a die on the table and then start decrementing it.
Yeah.
That's very intuitive. I don't understand why they couldn't just say this is clocks. Because it is.
I agree. Maybe it's because Force in the
John
Dark
Harper
is
get a cut of your soul every time you use clocks in a system? I'm curious.
Yes.
Maybe because his is specifically like drawing a pie chart or a pie clock. And they wanted to use a dice. That's why they didn't say it's flavored by it, but it is not the same, I guess.
Sure. I mean, it's a spin down or magic health, you know?
Yeah, no, it's a spin down D20. Just, I mean, it's one of those weird things, you know, because it makes me question. I know I'm being conspiracy theorist a little bit to this. Going back to try to find the inspirations list. What was it, page 7? Apologies.
Yeah, very early.
This again when it comes to just absolutely shattering your faces with things work. Yeah, so it lists Blades in the Dark as an inspiration, and for special appreciation stuff, Blades in the Dark and Apocalypse World helped shape the narrative game flow, and their playbooks inspired a lot of the character sheet development. Doesn't mention clocks at all.
True.
And yet there's that countdown, which is obviously a clock with a different name and like the serial number filed off. I'm curious as to why they did that rather than just saying, here's clocks from Blades in the Dark, and they're super cool.
Yeah. I don't know.
If there's some sort of, like, I joked about John Harper getting a piece of your soul, but I'm wondering if there's some sort of, like, you have to mention X or Y about Blades in the Dark if you use clocks, or I don't know. It seems like a very weird distancing from something that everybody knows and loves. People love clocks. Clocks are great. Use them for everything.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that
makes sense to me. Countdowns, count ups, however you want to go.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's a great system. Don't get me wrong. It's just I'm confused as to the legally distinct nature of it. Gives me pause.
Sure.
I don't know why.
Yeah,
when I ran City of Mist, there is a
You're still
count
running
up.
City of Mist on +1 shot the channel. By the way, everyone should go by next. Is it this Sunday or next Sunday?
Sunday, yes. Yeah, next Sunday, because this weekend we'll have Diablo tomorrow.
Diablo tomorrow, which I will sadly probably not. Apparently going to go get drunk for St. Patrick's Day.
Well, there you go.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
In that one, there is a thing in which once you hit a certain point in the story, you are to let the players know that there is a action card in play, and it starts at 1. And when they fail something, when you can do moves, it will count up. But they don't know what the number is. So, like, I know that the number's 4. So once they have 3 failures, this thing happens.
Yeah.
You know, but they won't know. Whereas with the clocks, it's a little bit weird if you're just like, oh, there something is coming for you, and then you have a 6-slotted clock, and they're like, oh, well, once that 5th one gets in, it's like, you know what, guys, I'm feeling really tired. What do you say we head to the inn and just sleep this off?
Go to the pub, get a pint.
Yeah,
it's all to blow over.
Yep, exactly.
Yep. Yeah, and do that, and then you're like, well, I mean, they're not going to do another check. They can't fail. I can't just, you know, because by the rules of City of Mist, GMs can't do their own thing. So I like that way they don't know. And also, there was a point in which they did something, they failed to hit number 4, and I was like, oh, I didn't give them a warning. I should have warned them. So at that point, I was like, here's the warning, and then I made the new number 5.
Yeah.
And then they failed again. So then it happened. But like, if you're counting up, which I think might be better, you get to sort of like fudge the number. If it was like, oh, it's 3, and they instantly have 3 failures back to back, it's like, oh, well, okay, I guess the thing kicks off now.
Yeah, you have the choice. I like this one that was called skill challenges, but I don't like how specific skill challenges were. So yeah, clocks, I mean, it just makes perfect sense. I mean, you know, we've all kind of done it in some way when you've run D&D or tabletop games for so long. Yeah.
It's definitely one of those things where it's like, it's weird that we didn't codify this before Blades in the Dark showed up.
Right.
But once Blades in the Dark was like, draw a circle, make it a pie, fill it in, scare your players. It's pretty funny. You're right, it is. It's hilarious. It
is pretty hilarious, yeah.
But then also, I think this is only countdowns too. The other thing is, like, it feels like these are not. I guess it's because they're not clocks that are positive.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Progress towards a certain event, enemy move, or
right?
consequence. No, so I think you can also make them be positive. It's just waiting to hit 0.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a progress countdown.
Yeah, progress countdown.
And there's a consequence countdown.
Yeah.
There's a looping, right? Countdown 5 loop is something I see here.
Oh yeah.
It resets its value after it ticks all the way down, and you perform when triggered action. So it's literally
a layer action.
Yeah, it's literally a loop. Like, you know, interesting. I
appreciate it, and I think that it is, honestly, for me, if I were playing on a tabletop, this is better than a clock because I have dice. I don't want to draw pies. But
yeah,
it's just strange how distinct it was made.
Sure, yeah.
I get it though, and I do think it's a good system. I do like them. I do. I'm excited at the idea of setting a die as a clock. So
you should get a set of giant dice and use those,
so the players can fucking read
like
them.
Metal. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I'll have just a variety of different kinds of dice specifically to give off a certain vibe for the different countdowns that I have when playing this game. It's like a big spiky die that's sitting at 10. Just like, what's that for?
Yeah.
It's just, don't worry about it. It's fine.
You know.
And then at a random time you go, 9. Why did it go down? I don't know.
There's a trigger or something. Keep playing. What did you want to do for your next roll? Are you going to give me a minor action? No, I want to keep playing. Oh, okay, go ahead.
I had on my old computer, I had a little sticky note that I wrote on the side that said "always be rolling."
Sure.
To help remind me to just like roll the dice, because I had when I was ever running, I had it as like blind, so no one else knew. But you'd hear them roll.
Yes,
the players just couldn't see them. They would just hear the dice occasionally roll in the background. They're like, "What's going on?" Whether or not I was doing anything or not, to try and keep that like sense of mystery. So they would just like, well, I don't know if he's actually doing something or if he's just rolling. And I never put it back on that new computer.
But there you go. Now you got to do it.
I need to find another sticky note.
Wow, oh my gosh, they have like 5 full pages for countdown specifically.
They do.
It is. Wow. You know what? I appreciate it because clocks are usually a nebulous resource. This is obviously something completely different. They've given us many different mechanics to use with it.
Almost made it.
I tried so hard. No, it's very good, and a lot of the stuff in this playtest is taking a lot of the nebulous, do whatever you want, the world is your oysterness of narrative design systems and giving a lot of specific tie-down mechanics for them. I especially love Fear for the GM because it gives you a very potent and obvious thing, and then even better, it gives you enemy stat blocks, which don't even exist really well in Powered by the Apocalypse games. And gives you like, here's something that the enemy can do, spend a fear to do it.
Right.
Like, that's just good.
I think it'll be interesting. It'll help the GM run the characters and speed up combat. So it's not like, what can this thing do again? Ah, damn.
So another thing that this game has as a resource that we forgot to talk about is gold.
Oh yeah.
This is so weird to me.
Yeah.
However, I am so down with never having to think about a number anymore. So I'm okay with it. Like I saw this somehow as I was scrolling, I saw that and I went, what are these words?
So now, Charles, just looking at it, can you understand what you're supposed to do with this?
What do you mean?
You have handfuls, bags, chests, hoards, fortune.
Yep. And it's interesting, the countdown, 6 handfuls is a bag, 5 bags is a chest, blah blah. It's fine, and then you can be like, this is a bag. Okay. I don't know. I don't know what they mean, what it enables you to do that it wouldn't normally, other than just ignore a number, because I'm so tired of it.
I think it's mostly just, please don't have a random integer,
sure,
a random prime integer on your character sheet that we have to somehow track at some point. Untick this box.
Yeah, right.
You spent that many.
It doesn't remind me because it doesn't work like it, but World of Darkness resources. You have a number, and when you use it, it goes down. That's it. That's all I care about, man. That's all I need to know.
You have 3 dots in resources. You can buy anything that is 3 dots or less. Or if you want to buy something that's 4 dots, you have to roll, and you might now be down to only 2 dots in resource, or something like that.
That reminds me of the resource die thing that Matt Colville talked about for his Acheron camp. Like, they had the war chest, and then whatever value they had would potentially decrement as they spent.
Yeah.
So
my question, so looking at this, because I have not read anything about the gold.
Yeah.
Is it meant to count up like binary? So once you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so you get 5 handfuls of gold. The next time you get gold, do you erase all the handfuls and now you have 1 bag?
Yes.
Go like that.
Yeah.
Go 5,
it's
1, 3, 4, 5, 2.
Yep.
Okay. I was thinking maybe it's just like I feared it was either that, or it was just you just counted up. Once you got to 5 handfuls, well, now you just mark the next box, and you're essentially at a bag of gold, and they would just continue to count up.
5 handfuls converts into a bag. You erase all your handfuls, and then if you spend,
I didn't know if you would erase them.
You do. It's not just like you're at this value and then you're at this value. It's like, okay, once you get to a bag, you erase all your handfuls. Add one bag. If you spend a handful out of a bag, you go down to 4 handfuls and you erase the bag.
Okay.
So,
yeah, and that's to avoid confusion, because you got a few handfuls and you got a bag. Do I have a bag and the handfuls, or do the handfuls represent the 1 bag that I have? Well, now I have 2 bags. Do I have 2 bags and 4 handfuls, I think it actually goes to 6. 2 bags and 5 handfuls, or do I have? How do like that's where it starts to get weird. Where it's like, why do I have handfuls marked if I have 2 bags? Do I have 2 bags and more? Or is this just because I marked up to 2?
Yeah.
So I guess that's why they start milling it, basically. And as they say at the top of this, it's 116 if you're not on it. In the main, it's like midway. No, it's not even midway. It's like 2 paragraphs down. Yeah, so there's no set prices, period.
I'll give you one better. There's a whole nother so this is the word gold.
Yeah.
There's something down at one golden rule. What's the golden rule for this game? Hold on. Running an adventure, the golden rule, page 161. Everything in this chapter is presented solely with the aim for running your game successfully. You are free to take from this section what works for you and leave behind what doesn't. So,
yep,
the same golden rule everybody always says.
Idea.
Rule of cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. Always make a GM move. No. There was gold on page 198.
Okay.
Just talking about running the game itself. And it says, using gold in campaign as a reward for successful quest can be a fun way to give your players something tangible. Basically, it says, if you want to track this, people like getting gold. You can have them spend it too and actually keep track. You can also, if you don't care and your players don't care, just stop caring about it. When they want to go buy something, assume that they found gold somewhere because they've been adventuring in your campaign. I'm terrible at tracking gold numbers, so I'm always a fan of whenever they simplify it. And maybe this is a system I would use. I'm still pretty shit at it, so I don't trust me. But
sure. I just love that the higher levels are called a horde because there are some players in this world that gold is winning points.
Gold is for gold's sake.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Right. So it gives you that ability to do it. It's like, how much gold do I have? A horde. Is that satisfying? Yeah, I think it is. Okay, cool then. That's fine.
Yeah. In the first 1 and 2 D&D, that was experience, right?
Yes, gold converted into experience.
If you spent
literally,
gold, it would. Yeah, that's how you leveled.
Yep.
Gold was basically an experience bar. So you did not get experience for killing monsters. You got experience from stealing from monsters after you killed them, or before, or never.
Or your party.
Yeah.
And then go sell it, and you got more experience than they do. Yeah.
Adversarial play has always been there, and it's always been a bitch.
Yep.
But yeah, so the gold system in this game, I'm a fan of. I like anything that extrapolates things into less severe versions of themselves, especially if it makes it more visible and manageable. I still... extrapolation works in a lot of ways. I still think that maybe they went a little far when it came to trying to extrapolate HP, but
sure.
Who's to say?
Yeah, I mean,
someone obviously did a lot of math playtesting because the amount that they have thresholds increase and do all that sort of thing throughout this system is very noodly.
Yeah, it feels like it was engineered because of the numbers. Now that could be an illusion. It could be do not look at the man behind the curtain. It could be like that's what the playtest is for. But I would assume, because it was playtested many times before it's come to us, that was specifically for a reason. And until it gets out into the wider world and people start making really ridiculous things, yeah. I think it's probably we'll go with this. This is good. This is engineered.
My favorite statement that was made so far, Spencer Stark said, please, or it might have been him and it might have been Matt Mercer, said, please, min-max, break the game for us. Please break our game. Which is the best challenge that you can ever hear from a designer is them saying, show me what I fucked up so I can fix it.
Yep.
Be that good QA person who goes in and is just like, I ran across this wall for 5 hours, and there's a spot right here where I can fall through the world and make it to the end of the game. Patch that up.
I'm just reliving trauma of this week, but that's fine.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Way to go.
You know, you're fine. Oh, QA is fun, but yeah, it's a, I don't know, like, I'm sure they didn't say it in a like, bet you can't do it way.
No, he
I'm
said
sure they
it
went
in a
in
genuinely hopeful way, which is the best
penetration
way
testing.
to say it.
Yeah,
It's like, please find the things that we have not found in the limited amount of testing we've done, because as we all know, any internal testing a game can do is never going to be enough. Because if you're on the team that makes the game, you already have a game feel in mind. It's when it comes to a person who is a monkey with a typewriter and has no idea that you want them to write Shakespeare, that they're suddenly going to whip out a National Lampoon's movie, and you're going to be like, what the hell is this? How did you... I gave you the tools for Hamlet, and... Okay, give me this. I have to figure this out.
Yeah, it reminds me of early WoW, especially like PvP memes, like, warriors are rock.
Warriors are
rogues
are
are
rock until they become level 20, where they become unstoppable killing machines.
Exactly.
Then warriors
and
beat
warlocks
paper, and warriors would beat scissors. Scissors are invisible.
Yeah, I love that video. And the thing that I always cite from there is warlocks are mushrooms,
Just
and they put a mushroom on the screen
Really?
and then just fade away. Right? Like, that's what we're looking for. We are digging for the truffles. We're looking for
mushrooms.
breaks.
It's true.
I
do want to say, looking at all the stuff, my initial thing for finesse was, I was very much like, this is the 2-hit stat. And as I'm looking through, no, it's not. So I am a little confused about the difference between agility and finesse. I agree that we didn't need Constitution, but now as I look at all the values for like the weapon mods and things like that, I go, well, what's the meaningful difference between?
Yeah.
Oh, like why put your points into finesse and not agility? If you can just pick either weapon.
That's fair too, and we can always have that range discussion again that we had from Fabula. But
yeah.
It's like control, hide, tinker, or sprint, leave, maneuver. So I guess agility is just explosive, whereas finesse is controlled. But strength is also explosive. Yeah. So now you have a triangle that is not axe, spear, sword, and I'm confused now.
Yeah.
I was thinking of it as more like micro and macro. Like, if you yourself are fast and nimble, that would be the agility. But if you are like picking a lock, that's the micro. You're able to fine tune little things, or like stealth as well.
Yeah, because what I'm seeing from the weapon list, like starting primary weapons, right? Agility is saber, longsword, short bow. Okay, finesse is 2 things on this first physical weapon list: dagger and crossbow.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just seems really accurate. Like I think it's what you're saying there, Philip. It's really accurate versus straight up just fast / it doesn't really feel great though, because as I'm looking further down, magic weapons, right? Glowing rings, which I don't really know what that means, but I'm assuming it's like a chakram, like a magic chakram.
Could be, yeah.
It's very close.
Yeah.
Interesting. Are you thinking punching rings? Because it's 2-handed as well. Are you thinking Tira from Soul Calibur?
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, but it's multiple and it's 2-handed. I don't know. Anyway, that's agility. But a returning blade is finesse. So agility might be rote speed, flashiness, whatever. Finesse is really applying it to a pinpoint.
Yeah,
maybe.
Finesse feels like it's just the aim stat, but
yeah.
What I initially saw when I saw it is, here's your proficiency at being accurate with things, and then those things will be either agility or strength things. No, it's just its whole other thing, and I don't know.
Yeah.
It feels like I mean, I guess you could see it as the weapon triangle from Fire Emblem. Actually, now that I've said that and said it's not like that, it actually kind of is. Because axe is your strength, and then spear would be your like precision finesse, but sword would be agility. Right?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm seeing. The spear.
What is spear, by the
where
way?
is even
Hold
spear?
on.
I don't see a spear.
They
There's
don't
a
have
halberd,
spears in
which
this
is
D&D game. How do they
strength.
survive?
Maybe it's in
Halberd.
the next tier. Maybe.
Halberd is because it's not halberd isn't a melee; it's a very
Halberd
close
is a
range.
slashing weapon. Don't be confused. Spears are for stabbing.
says the guy who loves spears. Yeah.
Listen.
Uh-huh.
Leave me alone.
Yeah. That's
All right.
fine. I mean, it's okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. But like, yeah, I don't see a spear.
No,
like it just wrote
I don't either.
pokey spear.
It seems like the finesse weapons. I don't know, because it's melee or very close or far, very far. So longbow's very far agility, crossbow's far finesse. There does not seem to be many finesse options for weapons. But I guess finesse is kind of the rogue stat, right?
Yeah.
So I guess
Tinkerer.
it's that finesse is what you're doing when you don't want people to perceive you.
Yeah, so I guess page 23, when it says like when you're making your character, assign character traits. Agility just says high agility score means you're faster on your feet, nimbler on difficult terrain, and quicker to react to danger.
Mm-hmm.
You roll with agility to scurry up a rope quickly, sprint to cover, or bound from rooftop to rooftop. And for Tinker, or for finesse, it says a high finesse score means you're dexterous and accurate. You roll with finesse for tasks that require fine motor control, precise, careful, and quiet, like using fine tools, escaping notice, or striking with an exacting aim.
So minimized finesses to a doctor what agility is to a gymnast. It's like you either have a big ol' amount of body control that's like bombastic, or you have fine motor skill, very in close quarter, like you're good with a scalpel, you're good with a... So I guess strength and agility are the out front two fighting styles physically that are where you go with that. Then you have finesse, which is kind of back more and more reserved.
Yeah, I'm going to do it. Are you ready?
Sure.
Are you ready? Agility is how easily you could dodge a tomato.
Yeah.
Strength is how easily you could smash or smush a tomato.
Uh-huh.
Finesse is how easily you could hit another person with this tomato.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
You got
we got
the accuracy,
down.
right?
And then it turns out instinct.
I'm not going to do the rest.
Instinct, presence, and knowledge are all the fucking same because they did not change the 3 mental stats.
No, not at all.
Daggerheart.
I would love for someone to do that because the finesse agility split is intelligence and wit to me, right? Like wit is that super fast, super punchy, like how you can finesse your intelligence, and intelligence is how much big brain you got to me, right? And systems do intelligence and wit sometimes, but they're not always that. But I could see an almost use for here, but then they would throw everything from there off. Like there's no way they're changing those. I say that they could, but that's But you don't need that for intelligence, I guess. For mental skills, I guess, or mental abilities.
It was always weird to me.
Yeah, it is strange.
At least for strength and dexterity, it was always like you're either accurate with big clunky things or you're accurate with more fine-tipped things. It's like I was kind of hoping that this was like the split between the two. Is like, how good of a fighter are you? I don't know. How much finesse do you have?
Right.
Like, I like accuracy to be its own thing, to not be tied into I'm accurate with a whip, or I'm accurate with... Actually, it's a whip finesse. That would make sense.
It is, yeah.
Hey, look at that. Okay.
Yep.
See, this is the thing. This is more intuitive the more we talk about it. It's just one of those things where I look at it and I go, what's the difference between finesse and agility? Well, finesse is the dex stat, but that's what agility is.
It's hard to move the brain in that way because when you think about it, those 6 stats, not these, but those D&D stats, right? Those are just intrinsic. At some point, if you've played it, it's kind of the default, right? And it's weird that it is, but it just worked so well that it just kept going, I guess.
Constitution is a dead stat, though, and I'm glad it's gone.
It is, though. Yes, it is. It really is.
And I do like the loadout style of this game, that it basically gives you, I mean, it doesn't give you a Lancer mech, but it basically gives you, like, on your character sheet for the different classes, is like, your thresholds are a little different, your evasion score is a little different, what you're allowed to use is a little different. So you do have, like, a base builder kit to work with, but I don't know. Man, we've talked this up and down, actually, for 300 pages. Not going into what every single class does really does shave off a lot of time for us, huh?
Yeah. What's coming up? I see something marked.
What's that?
Who is that? Something marked in there. Yeah.
So I was gonna say, I know we didn't really talk about like the heritage and the ancestry.
Yeah.
But there are what, 18 ancestries and 12 heritages?
Yeah, it looks like that, yeah.
I feel like because it's a card system, right? And the way they do this, that they could easily come up with a new pack. You know, you could buy a booster pack. And you know, you don't need to buy a whole like book on, you know, the ancestry of the Fey realm or whatever. You would just buy this like booster pack. And it would have these other creatures in it, these other, you know, like I'm trying to see, like there's no, like a Feyborn, you know, okay. So we'll do that. And so you have like a Feyborn, it's got its card, it has its one little sentence or two of what it does. And then I would add a fairy, which I guess technically already exists as an ancestry, but you know, you sort of see what I'm saying. And then it can add one or two more cards to every one of the domains that come from quote unquote the Fey realm.
Right.
And so like, you know, I don't know, I thought about that that would be a really cool idea for them to sort of expand, because you know, after they sell this book the first time, every company needs to be able to keep making money, otherwise they can't continue to do stuff, they can't make cool stuff. So I was just going to see what you guys thought about that, if they were to, you know, start expanding on where some of they are.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, and I can also see themed booster packs, so to speak. You know, like this is the first thing that came to my mind is like, I don't know, Dragon Age, right? These are the ancestries of Dragon Age. These are the subclasses of Dragon Age, the
like a secret
upgraded
layers
and the
type
mastery. Exactly, like secret layers. I could see that being easy. Or, you know, third party stuff would be easier when you just generate some cards.
Well, and I mean, in fairness, there is a whole section 5 of this playtest material that does not exist yet, that talks about home brewing, creating your own stuff, and doing things like that. So obviously, I do think that this will be rife for, if it's allowed, third party, like we were talking about with all the merch options, like third party supplementation of these classes or additional domain options. Like one of the things that was mentioned in one of the things that I was watching was like, what if they just added a domain? And it's like, well, how many new classes does that make if they add one domain?
Sure.
Yeah.
Because then you have to do all the different combinations.
Right. So yeah, I mean, one domain is technically, then again, the same amount.
It's N plus one character class option.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, which is a whole lot for one edition. right? You add one more, and all of a sudden you have 6 more combinations.
Yeah, because
right? Like,
how many domains are there?
6 right now.
6 total.
Oh. Yeah, Arcana, Blade, Bone, Codex, Grace, Midnight. Oh no, there's more on the second page. Sage, Splendor, Valor. So that's 9.
Yeah. So there's 9
Total
domains, and there's
yeah.
makes for a lot.
Yeah, and you assume that every class so far is a combination of 2 domains, so nothing just has 1 domain, correct?
Correct. Everything is 2.
There is only 9 character classes currently available in this playtest material.
Right. Yeah.
So 9 domains and 9 character classes. More. Hell, they already have combinations they haven't even accounted for.
Oh yeah, certainly.
It's like baseline classes. For example, I don't think that there is a. So what's the Seraph's domain? Seraph's domain list is Splendor and Valor. So, I mean, they're basically a paladin.
Yeah.
By a different name, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, a wizard has Splendor. So that means a wizard is also a healer?
That is true.
Yeah.
That is something to bring up. The wizards actually do come with healing spells in the system.
And control over death as well.
Yeah. But that's like what there was some weird limitation to the use on that.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just going by the domain.
Oh, speaking of which, we should just briefly talk about like the caster classes, Charles, because I know you'll be interested in this. So for like the level 1 in the Codex domain, you get 3 different grimoires that you can pick from, and each of them has 3 spells in it. So you get a spell array to start with.
Is this for all of the spellcasters?
It's for the grimoire specifically that I'm looking here, but we go to
anything that has Codex.
Yeah, anything that has Codex has the ability to go for that, and I think that's Bard, Wizard, but Sorcerer has Arcana. For Arcana, it is not that prolific. It is single spells or modifiers.
Yeah, which continues to enforce that Wizard is learned and has more spells, and Sorcerer has more focus on the spells that they do happen to know.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, the book is for bards and wizards.
Yeah.
And bards are treated a little more nicely when it comes to their spellcasting modifier and the types of spells that they can do. It's not just relegated to psionics or +1 bonuses to people. Good.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have Splendor, so I don't... No, wait, they do. They have Splendor. So they will still be healers, maybe.
I had a question.
Yeah.
Outside of just the personal feel, do your traits matter?
Yes. You invoke them. Wait, no. Traits.
Like, I mean, I can be a bard that specializes in strength and finesse, right?
Oh, yeah. Besides your spellcasting modifier, not really.
Well, but is the spellcasting modifier based on one of your traits?
I believe.
Or is it just?
Let's see here. Spellcast rolls, right?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Class features, rally.
Oh, okay, yes. So Bard subclass, Wordsmith. Well, either Wordsmith or Troubadour. Wordsmith, spellcasting trait is Presence.
Got you. Okay.
Troubadour, spellcasting trait is Presence. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. It defines your spellcasting trait in your subclass for most these. So, yeah. If you are a sorcerer, sorcerers are actually like combination sorcerer druids. So you can either have...
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Primal and elemental origin are both instinct anyway. Huh. No charisma sorcerer. All right. I see you. Christmas for bards.
Yeah.
Get out of here. Dirty little mage.
Yeah. It also breaks the whole charisma. Charisma might be one of the better stats versus, I mean, like, what's the worst one?
The worst one was
I'm trying to
int.
remember. Yeah, worst one is int because
There was only
wizard
one
and,
main class for int.
Yeah, because artificer is not a thing that actually exists.
No, they're not
It's
bringing
not.
it into the new play game. So fuck us.
It's not. Yeah, it's just not. Yeah,
Or,
I mean, before
in fairness,
that,
they're just not modifying it, and it'll still be viable.
Yeah.
Just to say.
Like, I'm looking at this. Go ahead.
For rogues, agility is their spellcasting trait.
Yeah, because rogues have spells.
Yeah.
For Seraph, their spellcasting trait is strength.
Really?
Which is very cool.
Defined set or?
Yeah.
Young Sentinel, spellcast trait is strength.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And Divine Wielder, same thing. Spellcasting trait strength.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'll hit you with these hands, and they're gonna heal you.
Exactly. Because I'm just sitting here going, all right, how do I do a monk? What is that? Bone Midnight, Bone Arcana. Right, because Arcana is like their own energy, maybe, but that's a little weird. It's not Bone Blade.
No, that's what a warrior is.
Yeah. It looks like. Go ahead.
And Blade Sentinel is the Guardian.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, man, does it have just like a default what all the domains are?
Yeah, 32.
32. Okay, yeah, here we go. Or I'm at 28. It has it there too.
Oh, okay.
Arcana, Blade, Bone, Codex Grace, Midnight, Sage, Splendor, and Valor. I would say Bone Grace, maybe?
Sure, Bone Grace. Is that Rogue? No, it's Midnight Grace for Rogue. So yeah, Bone Grace would make sense too.
Yeah, because Grace is Grace is charisma.
Grace is charisma. Yeah, so that's why I was like, wait, I think I saw that and I was like, because Bone is uncanny control of your own physical abilities and an eye for predicting the behaviors of others in combat. This is at 32.
You said Bone and Sage?
Bone, like my first one was Bone Midnight, but that's like a shadow monk, right?
Because Bone Sage is Ranger.
Yeah, Bone Sage is Ranger.
Can we talk about how both Daggerheart and MCDM RPG have magic rogues?
It's great. It's really good. You don't have to like go crazy into the magic, right? At least it doesn't look like here because you can pick the cards that don't really go into magic, I don't know if the specialization, because I haven't looked at it, or a subclass makes you do it. I doubt it.
You know what it is? It's Bone Arcana, and you're always an element.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it'd be good here, right?
Could be.
But yeah, it's so incredibly fertile, and making one more domain completely just adds so many more options.
I didn't even realize we were 1-for-1 domains for classes currently. Like, there's already so many different, like, you just make extra combinations, which is why they have the subclasses or the multi-classes.
Yeah.
Just pick a new domain and you're good.
Yeah, right. Yeah, because then you got 3.
Exactly.
Right. And, that might be the way to create these sort of subclasses that you want. Maybe a monk is just a subclass of warrior, or basically a multi-classed warrior or a new subclass that, gives you that. Maybe.
Oh, people are going to make so many crazy domains for this game.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
I look forward to it. I mean, that's a lot of engineering because it's even worse than making a subclass in 5e, because a subclass is like, okay, pick 5 things and just bolt it in. You're good. For this, it's like, all right, pick 2 different paths that you want to go depending on, or it looks like it's 2 different cards per domain per level. And then you have your subclass stuff too for your class stuff.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be interesting.
Yeah, so I think it could be an easy way to, with the bones that they already have, that Critical Role and Darrington Press can continue to increase this, have more characters, have more archetypes and everything. Whether they want to go with just,
which makes balance testing just bonkers though. So maybe don't
Yeah.
worry about it too much.
Yeah, and I mean, and you know, that's the problem with every homebrew character or whatever. But
Yeah,
I'm sure they'll get there.
I remember there being a homebrew class that I saw that had the same feat progression and attack progression that a fighter did, but also basically got the artificers like unlocking magic items for advantage and things. And I was just like, well, this is just a better fighter. Why would I pick? Whenever you have stuff like that, when it comes to homebrew, it's, if you're homebrewing something, please remember that there are things that already exist in the game, and if you overwrite and make something that's just better than that, you've not increased the design space, you've narrowed it.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you made a fighter that gets rogue backstab, and so why would anybody play a rogue or a fighter when they could?
Makes sense.
You know, one of the things I'm going to say, because it came up in Fabula, there is still, in this playtest, there is still no archer archetype that you can create.
What's the ranger? Hold on.
Yeah, I looked at ranger.
As
Either
companion?
Yeah, companion, or you're a wayfinder, which is, you know, maybe you could just be a wayfinder with ranged weapons, but it's not specifically for.
But what if they make the
Ranged
companion
weapons.
good? That's fine, right?
See, yeah, maybe, but like the archer archetype does not seem to be supported yet. But this is just saying the things that aren't supported yet. The physical punchy isn't supported technically. I mean, it looks like you can have punchy weapons, but not that real monk feel. Artificer, we just said it doesn't really exist. Not really in here that I can see, but maybe in the future.
So
Right?
I kind of see how they do it. The way they do it is by setting the spellcasting ability. Much like with the Seraph being strength, the Ranger is agility. So you would skew more towards the agility weapons because you're already going to want a big agility for your spellcasting.
Yeah. And,
it's a concession,
said,
though. It's not really a design space. Kind of is.
And it could be more cards do that. I didn't really see it at first glance, but, you know, this is just showing that there are those things that they'll need to add, or someone else will add, you know. But yeah, like a finesse caster, if there isn't one already, makes sense. I mean, agility caster, as well. But like, I mean, there's so few finesse weapons that I don't know that you should have a finesse caster. I don't know.
Conjure Swarm as an agility spell.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's
just one of those things.
We should stop poking around at the character sheets. We're gonna do the thing.
Sure. Yep. We're gonna do the thing. Yeah, I know.
I'm closing them out. Closing them all out.
Yeah.
We are down to just the playtest book. Okay. So overall, I mean, like everybody said, it's like they took all the good bits of all the good games that have come out in the past decade. They've tried to fuse them into one thing. And it all looks great on paper, but I really, like we always say, and like we need to start doing, we need to get this game to table to see what it actually plays like. Because it feels like kind of a weird soup currently. Like there's some broth in there somewhere, and that's the 2d12, and then there's all these different components that they added in, but is it going to taste good together, or is it going to be a thing where it's like, well, these kind of conflict with each other and these do? I mean, it looks very good to me. What I'm seeing here is I'm seeing, like I said before, it's this forged in the dark, powered by the apocalypse type system that's taken the Force and Destiny light side, dark side dice and set those on the table as pips, so that you have like a fate system going in there too, and you have a bunch of, all of your abilities have either stress or hope or something that you spend to activate them, but they're not set to like a limited timing. Like that's another thing I noticed about all the abilities. They all have, a lot of them have costs, but most of them are just, as long as you can spend for them, you're allowed.
Yeah, you just do it,
which is nice. So
yeah,
it looks really good. It looks like a very good system.
I agree. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think there are a lot of ways that you can look at character development. You could have multiple people be the same type of character and still come out very different.
Yeah.
Have not only with the cards that you pick, but when you level up, the different options that you pick. I don't know that you'd ever really run out of variation for quite some time. And some things, of course, may not be viable or more viable, but
right.
I'm kind of looking forward to that.
And I don't see anything that really like stands out as this is better than this. This is just hands down better. In terms of like the check boxes, the domains are definitely like a, it's what you want. What flavor of mechanic do you want? It looks great, honestly. And I dare say, from everything that we're looking at here, when it comes to the cards, when it comes to the tokens, when it comes to the dice rolling, when it comes to everything here, it's made a more solidified version of the very nebulous style of narrative games.
Yeah.
For a GM to be able to comprehend better with rules. And it's also made a very inviting card system to go into new players. So this might actually be, everyone's talking about it being a D&D killer. People are going to understand D&D 5e a million times better than this, but
yeah, any blank killer has always been overhyped. I mean, it's funny, I was just thinking about this recently. My original screen name was from Dark Cloud. They changed the guy's name eventually, but Dark Cloud, I remember the PSX magazine that says on the cover, The Legend of Zelda Killer? No, there is no such thing. And there's no such thing as a D&D killer. Now, it'll come out and it's going to eat up a lot of the share. I mean, I'm sure, more than sure. But there is people, and I know them, they were playing AD&D. And then, I joined this group of people older than me, like 50 to 60, and they were playing 3.5, right? And just recently, because they were like, hey, you should run, I moved them to 5. They will just stay there forever. They're comfy. It's fine. Like, they are not going to go look for other systems because they know D&D. There's always going to be something there. But yeah, market share, I think it's going to get eaten quite a bit soon by this. Black Flag, MCDM. I mean, everybody's coming for them.
I wonder. The other thing that I worry about is with all of these big name companies, Kobold Press, MCDM, Critical Role, all coming out with these games in roughly the same time frame. I worry that they're gonna compete too hard with each other and not hard enough with standard.
Sure.
It's gonna be like, which one of these becomes the indie darling?
Right. I'm hoping that it is the fantasy that your table wants, what fits better, right? There's not enough about any other system. This is the system that has the most stuff out right now of those that we mentioned, at least publicly.
Well, I mean, that's like, a playtest, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Black Flag is so confusing to me. Every time I look at it, it just sounds like scaled down 5e.
I don't know anything about it because I was just kind of waiting.
I follow Kobold Tactics, and he's reviewed a few. But
yeah, for me, the only thing that I would say here is there is a pillar that is less here. And I guess that you don't need it because you just do it. But after seeing MCDM and the negotiation part of that system,
yeah,
I want that in other game. Now, you know, like I the whole motivation versus patience, right? You find the motivation, you have the patience, and you have your attitude, basically. And like you try and change the attitude, but patience goes down, right?
yeah.
I
Love
don't know that it needs that. But I think that a game like this, I would have thought that there was more of that in here. It's kind of nebulous right now. Just roll. Use your experience. That's gonna get noodly very quickly, I think, with a table full of people who want to win. Like that's gonna get noodly really quickly.
I do have to say, if you want to win the game, don't play this one. There are so many
Don't
other
play it,
games
yeah.
where you have a functional win button that you can press to do the winning, and this game is very much Powered by the Apocalypse. All those narrative games. That is not what it is for. You play to find out, and that is the core of it.
Yeah, so I can see a lot of people, you know, lashing onto this, and it doesn't quite get them what they want.
Yeah,
and then they might bounce over, you know. But yeah, D&D killer. Nah.
Did anybody see anything like a bunch of the games that I've been reviewing lately is like have the session 0 very plotted out?
Yeah.
Is that in here?
No, I haven't seen that. I think there is a session 0 because there are the Powered by the Apocalypse connections.
Here we go. Session 0.
Yeah.
What is session 0? Main groundwork questions. Concept. Blah blah blah. We have 1, 2, 3. Example.
They have a breakdown on 207.
207. Okay, cool. Because
example session 0.
Pages before. Okay, so example. Oh, I like this. It gives you a time frame.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
On page 207. Okay, let's go through this. Because I do want to see this, because that's another thing is like this is another thing that a lot of indie systems have in common that makes them rough is that they do not have an established fantasy world to use. Many of them specifically because they want you to make it yourself. And many of them because they just don't have the years upon years and book writers like Ed Greenwood and R.A. Salvatore to actually make your world for you, so you can just set it there and be like, we made this. It's ours. Don't worry about them.
Yeah.
But so you have 4-hour time slot.
Mm-hmm.
Ahead of session, prepare. Yeah, okay. Set out stuff. Thank you. Introductions for players. Overview of the process. Cats.
Oh, cats.
Concept, aim, tone, subject matter.
Yep.
Oh, and it actually does link you to the Bitly for Cats framework. That's nice.
Yeah, it does. Yep.
That's pretty cool. So it goes through that.
It even has a break.
Yeah. Take a break after Cats. Cats is rough to watch. Go ahead and you take your time afterward. And then world building, which is 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Provided map templates. Ooh. World building tools facilitate the process for creating or fleshing out the setting you'll be using for the campaign. During the process, think about elements, tropes, settings, influences. Okay. So it doesn't have like the pick lists, but it does go over the bare bones of what you would usually do with those pick lists. So that's nice. Another break after world building. Man, they do like their snack time. It's good. And then character creation. Another break. And the introductory scene. Okay. So they actually do get you to the table for 30 minutes out of a 4-hour. Okay. I could see that. I like this. I like this sort of thing because it gives you a rubric. Like a functional one, not just here's the questions you should ask and here's what you should do. And then you get bogged down. It's like set a timer, 40 minutes. You should probably be able to achieve this in.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for everyone, but maybe.
Yeah. It could be quicker. I mean, character creation, I'm going to tell you right now, 70 minutes. When we play this, if I am a character, a player, I'm going to be done before we get there. honestly.
Charles, the
Yeah.
idea that you think that I don't know that by 2 days from now you will have a fully fleshed out 1 to
Sure.
10 character or 2.
If I wasn't so busy, that'd be yes. Now, by next Friday, maybe. Maybe, honestly.
When we talked about Fabula Ultima, just for anybody out there's record, Charles immediately came back to me. He was like, I have my level 5.
Yeah.
We don't have a session 0 yet, my guy.
It's funny because there's a system that we may talk about in the future, Valor, that I'm going to be in a game of.
Hey.
And one of the creators is going to run this game.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And she sent me, all the information. I was like, oh, this is cool. This is cool. And it's a point-buy system, kind of like Mutants and Masterminds. And I just made a character and kind of went, oh, this is the idea I have. And she went, what is wrong with you? Like, how much have you done this? It's like you did get it. And it's like, I mean, that's the fun for me. And I'm glad that they have the
shoves
structure,
all those character sheets into
just
the closet and tries to cram the door shut. It's like, don't worry about it. Fine.
Yeah, I have over 100 on D&D Beyond now. Because I don't know why.
And there's 20 per character in case anybody's curious.
Sure, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it's just that's how I learn a system. But yeah, I'm glad that they have the structure to go through the bullet points and example times, especially because if this is your first time running a game and you're going to pick this one, it's really important to have this sort of thing because you have no idea.
And I will say, from all of the production value of the live session 0 / game that they ran leads me to believe that they have a lot of stuff ready on Demiplane. I would be very interested to hit it up and take a look to see. Like,
I forgot that they were using Demiplane.
They are. Which we should talk about that. They have some resources. And the resources are, I want to apologize. If you search Daggerheart on YouTube and somehow you came across us and you've been listening to us for 3-ish hours, I've got some bad news for you. If you actually wanted to learn how the game works, the Critical Role channel actually has amazing videos on it that are much shorter than this.
Mm-hmm. They do indeed.
To explain the systems and the different things that are going on in it. They're actually very, very robust and very good. So it's a nice thing to be able to watch their stuff. They have a session 0 video where all of the players go through and create their characters together. I don't know how much of the world building they do yet. I'll be interested to see, but they have some great production quality and they show the cards and they show all the stuff, which makes me believe that they have this stuff on lock somewhere digitally.
Oh yeah.
The playtest documents themselves are very well split. A wizard has everything they need on their character card layout thing to play their wizard, except for maybe multi. I'm sure that the Demiplane looks great. I'm definitely interested in taking a peek at it.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as you mentioned that, I'm like, I'm sure I have an account. I'd have to figure it out, but I'm sure I have an account. I can tell you that the site is up, which is something that I did not expect on the first weekend after it comes out, right? Like, because you can play it right now, I think. So, yeah.
I typed in Demiplane, and one of the first options was the Daggerheart Nexus.
Yep.
Official digital companion, create characters, play test content, game compendium.
Yeah, so it's all there already.
Yeah. Gosh, looks real good.
Yeah, Demiplane, we're not sponsored, but I guess hit us up. Is a beautiful site, just in general, just design-wise and performance-wise, if I remember correctly. And once again, that might change soon, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, if they're touting it on Critical Role, Demiplane might get a few more clicks than they're used to. Maybe.
Yeah, I know it as the Reddit hug of death because Reddit, but yeah, they're gonna get hugged to death. Yeah, absolutely.
There's an actual show called Critter Hug, and I think that's accurate.
Yeah, sure. Makes sense.
Also, I do want to say the art for this is gorgeous. The art direction and design and all of the different like character pictures and portraits and stuff looks amazing. Which is no surprise because
No.
if nothing else, Critical Role has done nothing but embrace their fan art community to an extent that they go to their fan artists for official content. So,
which is really cool, I think. You know,
I don't know what their
finding
rates
the
are.
people who love this stuff.
But I would hope that they manage to do a similar to MCDM quote.
Yeah.
All right. Final thoughts, anybody?
Which one of us runs it?
Yeah.
Which one of us runs it?
I'll run. I'll rear the child.
Yeah, will you? Here's something that I don't know yet, but I think a system like this might be really conducive to it. West marches with multiple DMs. Just have a map.
Yeah.
Just figure out who wants to go where. Because the thing about this is there's going to be a lot of interest. Even like just talking about our channel, there's a lot of people who love Critical Role. They might want to get into it. I think that really would be cool for a community, us, someone else, the entire community, to really push in on like a West Marches, everyone's exploring one big map type of thing. Be really cool for this, I think.
If only there was some sort of precedent in Critical Role, like a Slayer's Take, that had some sort of like wayfinders, or whatever you want to call it, guild that kind of went and did missions as a group and then came back and collaborated.
I'm not following.
That's probably
because honestly, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know. You know what the wayfinders are. How dare you? You know Everon.
Yeah, that's true.
Generic slap-on badge. You adventurer. Go adventure. Go outdoor.
Go.
Don't come back until you've seen a thing on a map and tell us about it.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see what level of prep is required for this game too.
Yes.
And what the balancing of encounters and things like that are like. I haven't touched the GM tools nearly enough. The GM tools seem very robust. And I'm interested to know what their mentality was behind having the D20 versus 2D12. I imagine it's because of variance. You want to have less variance for the players so that they feel stronger. You want to have more variance for the GM so that it feels up in the air.
Up to chance, yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess. Stay tuned.
I'm excited
for when we make James run it for us.
I'll read over the playtest. We should really pick a playtest to run. It should be this or quick start, or sorry, this or press start or MCDM. We definitely need to.
Which is press start?
Press start is Fabula.
Oh, that was it. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. The answer is yes.
And
but yeah. Yes, all three at some point, but in order. Yeah, we'll have to figure that out.
Yeah, we will.
I guess if anyone is, if anyone has any ideas out there watching, just let us know.
Yeah. Please leave a comment on our YouTube channel, and that would definitely help us if we know people want to see it. It'll easier to pick.
Let's just do that one.
Yeah, absolutely. On top of that, I also have 2 more systems that I'm currently reading up on that I told you guys about, and I know that you, Charles, have been reading up on Beacon.
Beacon.
I have actually gotten 5 games under my belt of it now, and I have a pretty good feel for the system. And oh boy, do I want to describe this initiative system. People might think that initiative is dead now that Daggerheart has its grubby mitts into the hope fear system. But let me tell you, having the initiative stack of 8 different phases of combat, you would think it'd be really confusing, but after like the first 2 sections, you're just ready. It's so good. It's so good.
Cool.
And it makes you have a reason for using ranged weapons because they go before melee weapons.
Well, there you go.
And they
The
deal
archer,
less damage.
Yeah.
Finally.
There's something unique about an archer. Who knew?
Yeah.
You could do that.
Also, you don't get difficulty when hitting flying enemies, which is also a thing in Beacon.
Yeah.
Nice.
Hilarious. So I have Beacon, and I also have looked at Girl by Moonlight, and I would like us to talk about that at some point because my evil scheme is to get everybody to play Girl by Moonlight instead of Teens with Attitude for the next time that if we bring back Radical Robo Rock Rangers, because it's like it's a tragical girl tabletop RPG, and
so okay.
You guys seem pretty dramatic after season 1, so maybe that fits. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it more Mean Girls or the Heathers?
It's more like
Are we murdering people? Or
what if we put Gurren Lagonskin over Madoka, but it was really Madoka?
I see. Okay.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
So I want to describe that system to you all and gauge interest on that too. I know you two will play anything
absolutely.
once, but
Whatever.
I want to see what everybody thinks of this system.
Yeah.
So those are things that I'm ready to talk about, and then we definitely need to actually, before we talk about another system, we need to do a play test of a system.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Which should be easy enough to do. That said, even Philip, thank you for giving me the time slot here for doing
of course
shoot the shit talk with everybody here in terms of talking about Daggerheart as it came out. It's a very interesting system. I'm glad we talked about it. Honestly, coming into this, I was like, I don't think we want to talk about Daggerheart. That's really topical and kind of seems like it's looking for clickbaits. But then I listened to the talk throughs and I was watching it and I was like, oh shit, it's actually good. It's like when the villain comes by and you're like, damn it, he's hot. We could talk about him a little, I guess.
Yeah.
I think it was a good choice.
Yeah. It definitely man, if there was anything that was ever going to like set a pace in the future for how tabletop RPGs are going, this one definitely stole everybody's DNA and made some sort of crazy chimera. So
yeah.
Very cool.
So with that said, Philip, as thanking you, I now realize that I will not be able to do another shoot the shit in 2 weeks on a Friday.
No,
but I will be able to do it after that Friday. Probably. There's a wedding coming up that I'm a part of that I have to be at things for pretty frequently in the next month and a half. So
it's all good. We'll get it all figured out later. And but yeah, tomorrow night we've got Diablo. So for those who like that, please join us. And then next weekend we will do my Splinters of Faith game on the Friday, and then Sunday will be City of Mist, also my game. I'm kind of running a lot.
Yeah,
you're running the only active games currently on the channel, and you're running 2 of them.
Yep.
So that's a whole thing. I need to get back on a Friday or a Sunday slot. If we determine something we want to run again after doing some play testing, I will definitely be down to pull that. Or I'll throw Charles under the bus because he said he wanted to run something.
Oh, I do. I'm just screaming internally because of work for the last 6 months or so. Maybe three. More accurate since about December. Yeah,
I'm at about 3 months. We here at Shoot the Shit, all of us have day jobs, so we appreciate just being able to come here and talk or come here and play with each other. It's not really something that we can devote an actual workforce amount of time to, but always love doing it when we do. This was another great talk with you guys. Thank you so much for showing up and talking Daggerheart with me. It's always nice to look at things, and you buy the book to read the book sometimes, and sometimes you want to play it with friends, but other times it's just a nice book to read. So you never know.
Yep.
Recommend everybody check it out. If you have any interest in any of the systems that this is part of, I think you would enjoy it.
Yeah.
It is definitely a good. It's a good way to go into a lot of these systems, just to see all the different things and then be like, oh, okay, if I like that component and that component of it, I can go play that game. If I like this and this, I can go play this game. If I like all of this, I just keep playing this.
Yeah. Yeah, and I said I don't believe it's a D&D killer earlier, but it really could be a first step into tabletop for so very many people because of all these systems. And you go, oh, I like that.
So
what else can I play?
It is the newbie
Absolutely.
friendliness that 4th Ed wanted to be without being somehow inextricably tied to WoW and making people hate it.
Yeah.
Which they never wanted to do.
No.
People just liked it. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, I know.
It is what it is.
Yeah, that topic.
With that, our next show is going to be tomorrow night at 10 p.m. EST. It's going to be Diablo. If you want to come and see us playing there, the Philip and Michelle and sometimes myself, but probably not tomorrow night, we'll be there with everybody else in the gang going through hell because we're in hell now. It's a thing.
Yeah. Rescued an angel. Got a blessing. Got a curse. Got some coins. That's always good. Get some Doge. And with that, we will go ahead and be signing off for tonight. But thank you, everybody, for watching. Hope you had a fun time. Hope you got to learn something about the Daggerheart Systems Open Beta that you didn't know before. And hope you're as excited as we are. We'll be back in a few weeks to do some more stuff on this for Shoot the Shit. Maybe a playtest. Probably a playtest. So,
Probably, yeah.
See you then.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.